Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 12-17. You're quite sensible. Qin Feiyang muttered, and a light flashed in the depths of his eyes. He looked at the old man and asked in confusion, "Why do you say that? Although there are no ferocious beasts within a dozen miles of our village, there are many powerful ferocious beasts more than a dozen miles away. If the three of you are not immortals, how did you avoid those ferocious beasts and come to our village?" The old man chuckled. "You can even think of this. You're indeed the village chief. However, we're not immortals. We're just ordinary martial artists." Qin Feiyang said with a smile. "I see." The old man suddenly understood. He got up and said apologetically, "Please forgive this old man's rudeness. As the saying goes, you may know a person for a long time without understanding his true nature. You're just thinking about the safety of the village." "I can understand," Qin Feiyang said. The old man said, "Little brother, you're really a generous person. When will the three of you leave?" Qin Feiyang said, "We'll leave after resting for a few days." The old man said, "Then if you need anything, feel free to come to this old man." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. The old man cupped his hands and said, "Then this old man will take his leave first. Take care, old man." Qin Feiyang got up to see him off. After seeing the old man off, Qin Feiyang immediately frowned. "What's wrong?" Lu Hong walked to Qin Feiyang and asked in a low voice. Qin Feiyang said to himself, "I don't know if it's an illusion, but this village chief gives me a faint sense of crisis. No way, he's just an ordinary person. How can he pose a threat to you?" Lu Hong was surprised. "No. Little cousin is right. This village chief is extraordinary." Lu Zheng walked to the two at this time and transmitted his voice to them. Lu Hong's expression froze. Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Zheng and asked inwardly, "What did you discover?" Lu Zheng said, "Before you came back, I had been observing him. I noticed that his eyes were sometimes different from usual." "How is it different?" Qin Feiyang asked secretly. Lu Zheng said telepathically, "His eyes are occasionally as sharp as a blade. This is not a look that an ordinary person should have." "You mean, he is a cultivator?" Qin Feiyang exclaimed. "Yes." Lu Zheng nodded. "Interesting." The corners of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted. Just as Lu Zheng had said, this village was becoming more and more interesting. At this moment, the woman looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two and said with a smile, "Three benefactors, don't just stand there. Take a seat, I'll prepare some breakfast for you." "Thank you, Auntie." Lu Hong turned to the woman and smiled. "Like I said, don't be so polite. Just treat this as your own home." The woman chuckled and then went into the kitchen. The young man looked at the woman and ran to the three of them. He knelt on the ground and begged, "Sister Angel, Brother Immortal, please help me find my sister." Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "A man shouldn't kneel to others so easily. Get up." The young man was a little panicked and hurriedly got up. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said with a smile, "I still don't know your name." "What's your name?" "My name is Wang Xiaojia." The young man said truthfully. Qin Feiyang said, "Then let me ask you, how does your village chief usually treat everyone?" "The village chief is a good man. He treats the people in the village like his own family. I remember that when my father passed away, he was the one who helped us take care of the afterlife. So I've always been grateful to him," Wang Xiaojia said. Qin Feiyang nodded, then looked at Lu Zheng and Lu Hong and asked, "Have you seen the son of the village chief?" "Yes, the father and son came together at that time." Lu Hong nodded and waved her jade-like hand. Battle Qi surged, and the shadow of a young man in white appeared. She said, "He is the village chief's son." Qin Feiyang was stunned. What's wrong? Lu Hong was puzzled. I've seen him before, Qin Feiyang said. Lu Hong and Lu Zheng looked at each other. Lu Hong asked, when did you see him? Qin Feiyang said, when I came back not long ago, I saw him enter a forest alone outside the village. He should be hunting. Wang Xiaojia said, brother Yu never hunts. Brother Yu? The three of them were stunned. Wang Xiaojia said, brother Yu is the village chief's son. His full name is Wang Yu. The three of them nodded in realization. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked down at the young man. He asked, what did you just say? Wang Yu never hunts? Wang Xiaojia nodded and said, yes, he is the village chief's son. How could he do such manual labor? Then why did he go out so early in the morning? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. I don't know. But during this period, he did go out often. I saw him a few mornings. He is quite mysterious. Wang Xiaojia's face was full of suspicion. What about before? Qin Feiyang asked. Wang Xiaojia said, he used to go out occasionally, but not so frequently. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. He looked at Lu Hong and said, I'm going out for a while. You guys be careful of the village chief. You're really suspicious of him? Lu Hong said. There must be something wrong. Whether Wang Jin's disappearance has anything to do with him or not, it's necessary to investigate. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he opened a teleportation gate and walked in. I'm going too. Lu Zheng's eyes flashed and he followed in. Wang Xiaojia looked at the portal in a daze and asked, Sister Angel, what is this? Where did the two immortal brothers go? This is called a portal. It can directly teleport people from the village to the outside. As for your two immortal brothers, where did they go? We have to keep this a secret for the time being. Lu Hong rubbed Wang Xiaojia's head lovingly and smiled. There's such a magical thing? Looking at the portal, Wang Xiaojia's face was full of curiosity. Lu Hong smiled and said, this world is very big. What you see now is just the tip of the iceberg. Really? Wang Xiaojia had a confused look on his face. Lu Hong nodded and didn't say anything else. Because there were some things that Wang Xiaojia might not understand even if she said it. Outside the village. Outside the forest, Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng appeared out of thin air. Qin Feiyang immediately looked at Lu Zheng and frowned. Why did you follow us? How can I miss out on such an interesting thing? Lu Zheng said with a grin. You, forget it, we're already here. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly and looked up at the forest. Lu Zheng asked, this is the forest you mentioned? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and entered the forest to look for Wang Yu. However, as far as he could see, there wasn't even a shadow of a ghost. Qin Feiyang said telepathically, this forest is not big. Let's split up. You go to the east, I'll go to the west, and we'll meet in the south. Try not to make any noise. No problem. But before we split up, we'd better establish a contract bridge. If something unexpected happens, it'll be convenient for us to contact each other. Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them took out the image crystal, established the contract bridge, and immediately split up. Qin Feiyang went to the east. Along the way, he saw all kinds of insects, but he didn't see a single beast. He didn't make any footsteps. It was very quiet all around. After a while, he came to the east end of the forest, but he didn't see Wang Yu. He stood at the edge of the forest and looked ahead. Outside the forest was a plain with weeds, but there were no big trees. The view was very wide. On the plain, Qin Feiyang didn't see any trace of Wang Yu. At the end of the plain, there were endless mountains, high and low, stretching endlessly. After looking for a while, Qin Feiyang turned around and headed south. About 100 breaths later, in front of a pool, Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng met. "How was it?" Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked, "Did you find anything?" "Not really." Lu Zheng shook his head. "Strange, with his speed, he shouldn't have gone far." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Not necessarily." Lu Zheng said. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. Lu Zheng said, "If the village chief is as we guessed, a cultivator who hides his cultivation, then his son must also have cultivation." "Makes sense." Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them turned and rushed out of the forest like lightning, looking at the mountains outside the plain, their eyes flickering. Lu Zheng suddenly frowned. "Fatso and the others searched those places last night. If there was really something, they should have found something. But we didn't think that there was something strange about Wang Jin's disappearance. We only thought that she might have been attacked by a beast, or trapped somewhere because of some special situation. So Fatso and the others definitely wouldn't have searched so carefully." Qin Feiyang said. "Then this is indeed a problem. Because we don't know which direction this Wang Yu went. And outside the plain are mountains and there is no sign of human habitation. To find a person is like looking for a needle in a haystack." Lu Zheng frowned. "It's all my fault for being too careless. I should have followed him." Qin Feiyang was very upset. "Do you really think you're a god who can predict the future? You didn't even know who he was at that time. Why did you follow him?" Lu Zheng rolled his eyes. After a while, he said, "We can't keep looking like this. Let's just wait. Hasn't he been coming out often recently? Then we'll wait outside the village. That's the only way." Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them looked around the forest again, then returned to the place where they first entered the forest. They stood on the branch of a big tree, using the dense leaves to hide their figures, and waited quietly. Time passed little by little. Noon. Smoke rose from the chimneys of every house in the village, hovering above the village like giant dragons. The people who went out hunting also returned one after another. Some people returned with a full load, and of course, some returned empty-handed. Whoosh! Suddenly, a whistling sound came from the forest and reached Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng's ears. The two of them looked at each other, their eyes shining. A whistling sound meant that someone was flying over. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound and saw a young man in white flying over from the forest in front of them. And he was not slow. He really has a cultivation base. Their eyes trembled slightly. Chapter 12:18. Moreover, the cultivation level that Wang Yu was currently displaying was not low. He was actually a one-star war saint. Incredible. There's actually a war saint hidden in a village of ordinary people. Lu Zheng muttered secretly. Yeah. Qin Feiyang nodded. Even Wang Yu was so strong, then how strong was Wang Yu's father, the village chief? It was really unimaginable. Who exactly were these father and son? Was it related to the immortal crane who had bewitched the villagers? Should we make a move now? Lu Zheng secretly asked. Qin Feiyang secretly said, I am more and more suspicious that Wang Jin's disappearance is related to this Wang Yu, so there's no need to rush, so as to not alert the enemy. While they were talking, Wang Yu had already arrived below the two of them. He landed on the ground and retracted his aura, turning back into an ordinary mortal. Then, with a satisfied smile on his face, he left the forest and disappeared into the village. What about now? Lu Zheng asked. Wait here, I'll go take a look. Maybe I'll find something. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, activated the concealment technique, and rushed into the village like lightning, following behind Wang Yu. Although Wang Yu seemed unruly when he entered the village, the attitude of the villagers was quite good. The villagers also seemed to like him. Not long later, Qin Feiyang followed behind Wang Yu and entered a wooden building. He saw the village chief sitting alone in the hall, leisurely drinking tea. Wang Yu closed the door and sat down opposite the village chief. The village chief looked at him and frowned. "You went again?" "Yeah." Wang Yu nodded. The village chief said angrily, "I've already told you many times, don't overindulge, and you can't touch the people in the village. What are you worried about?" Wang Yu did not understand. The village chief said, "What if the villagers find out?" "So what if they find out? They are just a group of animals that we have raised. Not to mention a mere Wang Jin, even if it's all the women here, I can do whatever I want." Wang Yu said disdainfully. As expected, Qin Feiyang's gaze turned cold. Hearing Wang Yu's words, it was likely that he was blinded by lust and imprisoned Wang Jin somewhere. But what infuriated him the most was that this person actually said that the people in the village were beasts reared by him and his son. Was this something a human would say? This father and son pair were the real beasts. He took out an image crystal and quietly recorded it. In the meantime, hearing Wang Yu's words, the village chief's face darkened and he said angrily, "Watch your words. Be careful that the walls have ears." "I know. You're so long-winded." Wang Yu impatiently waved his hand. Village chief said, "Then tell me, where did you lock Wang Jin up? What is it? Are you interested in her too? Don't worry, I'll give it to you when I'm tired of it." Wang Yu teased. "You," village chief suddenly stood up, blowing his beard and glaring. All right, it's just a joke. Don't be angry, it's bad for your health." Wang Yu waved his hand and smiled, then said indifferently, "I locked her up in the Red Maple Ridge. There are War Master level beasts all around, and there are even a few holy beasts. The trash in the village can't even enter, so no one will ever find her." "That's good. But let me give you a piece of advice. Once you've played enough, hurry up and kill her to prevent any accidents from happening," village chief said. Wang Yu laughed. "After playing for half a month, I'm indeed getting tired of it. I'll go play again tomorrow and kill her." Village chief nodded and asked, "Also, what do you think of Jiang Fei and the other two?" Wang Yu said, "Although these three people don't seem to have any cultivation, they are definitely not ordinary people to be able to come to the village." Village chief said in a deep voice, "I think so too, so I have to think of a way to get them to leave quickly." "Leave? Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. Find a chance to kill them, but keep that woman. I'm very interested in her." Wang Yu chuckled, his eyes filled with a lustful light. Sooner or later, you will be destroyed in the hands of a woman." The village chief looked at him as if he expected better from him. "You're thinking too much. Here, we are the heavens. Whatever we say goes. Who dares to go against us?" Wang Yu laughed arrogantly. "That's true." Village chief nodded and smiled. He stood up and said, "All right, you go and cultivate. I'll go outside and take a look. I'll also pay attention to the actions of those three people." Finished. Village chief turned around and opened the door, chuckling as he walked out. "Hello, village chief." The villagers all greeted him warmly. "Hello everyone." Village chief nodded his head one by one. Suddenly, he looked at a burly man not far away and extended his hand. "Old bull, come over for a moment." "Village chief, what's the matter?" The burly man ran in front of village chief and asked. Village chief smiled, "Has your family hunted any prey recently? If not, tell me, I'll send some over." "Thank you for your trouble, village chief. Recently, my luck has been good and I haven't been able to get any prey." The burly man rubbed his head and smiled, looking charmingly naive. Village chief said, "All right then, go and do your work. If you need anything in the future, feel free to find me." "Okay." The burly man nodded and smiled. Then, he turned around and ran away. Qin Feiyang stood at the side and watched this scene. He couldn't help but feel sad for these villagers. In their eyes, village chief was a kind-hearted person. He helped everyone and took care of everyone. They respected him very much. But the truth was that he was simply a sanctimonious and shameless villain. Sigh. Such a simple village, such a group of kind-hearted people, but they were manipulated by two refined scum. Where is the justice? Qin Feiyang sighed secretly. He put away the image crystal and turned around to leave. His heart was extremely heavy. What two beasts? No. They're even worse than beasts. They're simply two bastards. In the forest, Lu Zheng was furious on the spot when he heard about this. Calm down. Qin Feiyang said. They deceived the villagers here and hurt an innocent woman. How can I calm down? I don't understand. Scum like this, just kill them. Why are you still keeping them alive? Lu Zheng said angrily. Qin Feiyang said, this matter is not as simple as you think. What do you mean? Lu Zheng raised his eyebrows. Two people who are at least battle saints. Why are they hiding in this village? Just to play with the people here? If it were you, would you do such a boring thing? Qin Feiyang said. No. Lu Zheng shook his head. Isn't that right? I suspect that the father and son should be related to Master Shen and the so-called Immortal Gate. Qin Feiyang said. You want to cast a long line to catch a big fish? Lu Zheng asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then just take them down and force them to talk. Why do you have to go through so much trouble? Lu Zheng looked at him discontentedly. Qin Feiyang said lightly, what if they would rather die than talk? Lu Zheng didn't say anything. Don't worry. They will definitely pay a price for this, and the price won't be small. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. What about Wang Jin? Lu Zheng asked. We can't let her continue to suffer. Tomorrow, we will rescue her first. At the same time, we will make the village chief pay some interest first. Qin Feiyang sneered. Time passed like sand between fingers, passing in the blink of an eye. Night fell. Miss Xiaoqin, where did Jiang Fei and Jiang Zheng go? Why haven't I seen them all day? In the wooden house. The woman looked at Lu Hong and asked. Lu Hong said with a smile, they never tell me what they do, so I don't know. Do you want to prepare their dinner? The woman asked. Lu Hong said, don't worry about them. They have hands and feet. They won't starve to death. Well, I will make some for them when they come back. The woman smiled and went into the kitchen to get busy. Wang Xiaojie stood at the side, looked at the woman's back, and asked in a low voice, Sister Angel, are the two immortal brothers helping to find my sister? That's right. Lu Hong nodded. Wang Xiaojie said worriedly, they haven't come back so late. Are they in danger? Danger? Lu Hong shook her head and smiled. She rubbed Wang Xiaojie's little head and said with a smile, don't worry about that. In this world, no one can hurt them. Are they very powerful? Wang Xiaojie asked naively. Of course they are. Let me give you an example. They can destroy your village with just a wave of their hand. Lu Hong said. Wang Xiaojie was dumbfounded. His little face was full of yearning as he muttered, if I can be as powerful as the two immortal brothers, then I will protect my sister and mother. The next day, early morning. The horizon gradually turned white, and the sun slowly rose. The villagers walked out of the village one after another and entered the mountains to hunt. Going out to hunt every day had become a habit in their lives. Of course. This was also their only way to survive. Soon, Wang Yu also walked out of the village and entered the forest alone. Seeing that there was no one around, he turned into a stream of light and flew away. Whoosh! Just as Wang Yu left, Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng appeared. They had been waiting here for the whole night. Looking at each other, Qin Feiyang activated the concealment technique and chased after Wang Yu with Lu Zheng. Soon, the three of them rushed out of the forest one after another and flew in the southwest direction. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng followed beside Wang Yu, but Wang Yu did not notice at all. His face was full of lewd smiles. Obviously, he was fantasizing about some improper things. Laugh, laugh all you want. Lu Zheng sneered again and again. About half an hour passed. The two of them followed Wang Yu deep into the mountain range for hundreds of miles. A majestic mountain ridge finally entered their sight. This was the Red Maple Ridge. The Red Maple Ridge stretched up and down like a huge dragon lying on the ground. It was full of red trees. This tree was called the Red Maple Tree. Every leaf was as beautiful as fire. From afar, the whole mountain ridge was like a sea of fire. The origin of the name Red Maple Ridge was precisely because of these red maple trees. Chapter 12:19. Whoosh! Wang Yu directly entered Red Maple Ridge and stopped halfway up the mountain. There was a cave here. It was pitch black inside the cave. Little bitch, I'm here again. Wang Yu let out a hearty laugh and stepped into the cave. Bastard, don't come near me. Get lost. The next moment, a roar filled with fear came from within the cave. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng looked at each other. Murderous intent flashed in their eyes and they also rushed into the cave. Immediately, an unsightly scene entered their line of sight. The size of the cave was only 100 feet. And in the middle of the cave, there was a thick layer of red maple leaves. A woman was lying on top of it. The woman was about 1.75 meters tall. She was very beautiful and had a good figure. But at this moment, her face was full of fear. Not only that, she was also firmly tied by a thumb-thick iron chain and could not move. The most shocking thing was that the woman did not have any clothes on and was completely naked. Moreover, there were bloodstains all over her tender skin, as if she had been whipped. It was a ghastly sight. This is too much. Lu Zheng clenched his fists tightly, murderous intent surging in his eyes. This woman was Wang Jin. That scarred body, that desperate and horrified gaze, it was not hard to imagine how much pain and torture she had experienced in the past half a month. She was just a weak woman. She did not even have the strength to truss a chicken. How could this little bastard do it? Get lost? However, facing the current Wang Jin, Wang Yu did not have the slightest sympathy. Instead, he sneered and said, "In the past, when I asked you to submit to me, you would rather die than be willing. Now, you blame me? No, you asked for it. You're a bastard. Bastard, we were all blind and did not see your true colors." Wang Jin roared, her face pale. Huh. Wang Yu laughed loudly. He bent over and pinched Wang Jin's chin, raised it forcefully, and said disdainfully, "Do you know? In my eyes, a woman like you is just a toy for me to amuse myself with." Bah! Wang Jin spat on his face. Wang Yu's face instantly turned malevolent as he slapped Wang Jin's face. He coldly smiled and said, "I'm already tired of playing with your body. I'll send you to hell in a moment. Don't be anxious, because very soon, your younger brother and your mother will accompany you." Wang Jin's expression changed and he roared, "If you dare to hurt them, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost." Huh, you are too naive. Do you think I will give you the chance to become a ghost? Oh, that's right. There's something I haven't told you yet. Actually, your father was also killed by me. Furthermore, I chopped him into 8 pieces. Do you know how much pain he was in back then? Wang Yu laughed sinisterly. What? Wang Jin felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His body and mind trembled as he muttered, Why? Why was he so cruel? What did he do wrong? I've had my eyes on you since a long time ago. I'll put down my pride and go find him personally. But guess what he said? He said that you're still young and don't need to think about these things for the time being. Of course, I'm upset. Since I'm upset, I definitely won't let you guys be happy either, right? So, I killed him while he was out hunting. Wang Yu chuckled. Such a deranged action, but in his eyes, it was an extremely normal thing. You will suffer retribution. Wang Jin was no longer afraid. His eyes were dead silent. Retribution? Looks like you haven't figured out the situation. I'm an immortal in your eyes. Retribution doesn't exist to me. Wang Yu smiled disdainfully. Immortal. Wang Jin's gaze trembled. Wang Yu smiled proudly and said, How is it? Do you feel particularly helpless? Even if you are an immortal, I believe that someone will come to kill you sooner or later, you devil. Wang Jin gritted his teeth, his tone was filled with deep resentment. Kill me? Who has the ability to do so? Wang Yu said contemptuously. Me. An icy voice could be heard all of a sudden. Who? Wang Yu was shocked and quickly scanned his surroundings. Wang Jin also looked at the void around him, his eyes full of surprise. For your own selfish desires, you harm women and children. It's simply inhumane. For people like you, even if you were to be cut into pieces, it would still be difficult to relieve the hatred in our hearts. As soon as his voice fell, Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng appeared in front of the two, both of them were murderous. How could it be you guys? Wang Yu's expression changed. Qin Feiyang sneered and said, Shouldn't you and your father have guessed that we are also cultivators? Go to hell. Wang Yu's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he slapped at Qin Feiyang. With just you? Qin Feiyang smiled contemptuously. He slightly released his aura, and Wang Yu was blasted away, crashing into the stone wall behind him. Blood gushed out on the spot. So strong. Wang Yu's pupils shrank, and he hurriedly used a mysterious footwork to escape from the cave. Today, even if you go to heaven or hell, you can't escape. Qin Feiyang chased after him. Lu Zheng glanced at Wang Yu's back coldly. He took out a dagger from his Qianquan bag and cut off the iron chain on Wang Jin. Then, he turned around, took out a set of clothes, and handed it to Wang Jin, saying, Put it on. Wang Jin glanced at Lu Zheng, took the clothes, and quickly put them on. Then, she looked at Lu Zheng nervously and asked, May I ask who you are? Lu Zheng turned to look at her and said with a smile, Don't be nervous. We are your brother's friends. He asked us to come here specially to find you. Xiao Jie's friends? Wang Jin was in a daze. Why didn't she know that her little brother had these two friends? And they didn't look like simple people. Suddenly, her expression changed, and she exclaimed, Oh no, Wang Yu is an immortal. Tell your friend to stop chasing. Immortal? Lu Zheng said disdainfully, If Wang Yu is an immortal, then my little cousin is a god. A god? Wang Jin was dumbfounded, and her face was full of awe. Do you really believe it? Lu Zheng was a little helpless, and said, Come out with me. After saying that, he strode outside. Wang Jin hurriedly followed. When she walked out of the cave, she saw Qin Feiyang blocking in front of Wang Yu. Both of them were standing in the air. Immediately, she was dumbfounded. He could actually stand in the air without any support? Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Yu coldly and said, "Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Let me see how strong you, a so-called immortal, are." If these words were said by someone in the village, he wouldn't feel anything, but when it came from Qin Feiyang, he felt that it was especially ironic. Because he also knew that there were no immortals in this world. Qin Feiyang urged, "Hurry up, weren't you very arrogant just now? Why don't you even have the guts to make a move now? Don't be arrogant." Wang Yu roared. Boom! He waved his hands, and a huge hand appeared in the air, exuding an apocalyptic aura. The mountains and rivers trembled. This was his battle art. And it was a perfect battle art. Roar! Following closely, another huge beast soared into the air from behind him. This was his battle soul. He used all his trump cards at once, showing how uneasy he was at the moment. Kill! Following his roar, the huge beast and the huge hand shook violently in the air, releasing an earth-shattering might, charging towards Qin Feiyang. "Is this all you've got?" Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. The holy aura of a 9-star battle saint rolled out, and the huge beast and the huge hand instantly disintegrated. Puff! Wang Yu spat out blood again. A dignified immortal only has this much strength? Qin Feiyang looked at him with contempt. Lu Zheng said to Wang Jin without turning his head, "Did you see that? He's not an immortal at all, because he's also bleeding, and the blood flowing out is no different from your blood. So he's just like you, an ordinary person, but he knows how to cultivate." Wang Jin looked at the blood that Wang Yu spat out, and then looked at the blood on his body. It seemed that there was indeed no difference. Remember, there are no immortals in this world. And the so-called immortals are just a lie made by immortal he. Lu Zheng said lightly. Wang Jin nodded as if he didn't understand. He looked at Wang Yu again. At this moment, his face was ashen. He didn't expect the other party to be so strong that he could disintegrate his battle soul and battle art with just holy aura. "Who are you? Why are you meddling in other people's business?" he roared, his face full of fear and anger. Qin Feiyang said, "In the great Qin Empire, there are very few people who don't know me." Lu Zheng's face twitched. What a narcissistic guy. "Are you very famous?" Wang Yu asked in horror. "Fame isn't important, what's important is anger. Now I'm very angry, and I need to vent it." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and stepped in front of Wang Yu. "What are you going to do?" Wang Yu retreated in panic and said, "Let me tell you, if you dare to touch me, my father will not let you go. Don't count on him, because soon, he can't even protect himself." After saying that, Qin Feiyang furiously punched Wang Yu's lower abdomen. With a crack, Wang Yu's sea of qi shattered on the spot. The heart-wrenching pain made his face contort and he howled in pain. "Do you know pain?" Qin Feiyang grabbed his neck and asked. Wang Yu kept nodding, his face was full of pleading. "Since you know pain, why do you treat her like this? Doesn't she know pain?" Qin Feiyang pointed at Wang Jin and roared. He was like an enraged lion as he punched Wang Yu's mouth again. "Ah!" Wang Yu screamed in pain. The teeth in his mouth were shattered, and he spat out blood mixed with it. "In the past, I thought I was already a cold-blooded person, but compared to you, I'm too kind. Because I've never bullied a woman, let alone a woman without any cultivation. I won't be so despicable as to sully a woman's purity. You're not fit to be a human." Qin Feiyang roared, took out the Chang Shui, and slashed at Wang Yu's lower body. A certain part of his body was castrated on the spot, and blood gushed out. "Ah!" Wang Yu looked up to the sky and screamed like a pig being slaughtered. It was incomparably mournful. Qin Feiyang said, "Tell me, do you regret it now?" Wang Yu nodded repeatedly. The pain made him break out in cold sweat. Unfortunately, there's no medicine for regret in this world. Qin Feiyang laughed and turned to Lu Zheng, saying, "Bring her back to the village." Okay. Lu Zheng waved his hand, rolled up Wang Jin, and flew back to the village with Qin Feiyang. As for Wang Yu, Qin Feiyang didn't kill him. Like a little chick, he twisted him in his hand. Because this kind of scum wasn't worthy of him killing. Chapter 12:20. In the village. The old people were drinking tea and chatting together. The children were playing on the lawn. It was a peaceful scene. But when Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng returned, the village immediately fell into chaos. Wang Jin. She's not dead? Everyone, come and see. Jin is back. Hearing the cries, the people rushed to Qin Feiyang and the other three. What's going on? Why does Jin look so weak? And young Master Wang Yu, why is he also covered in injuries? Little brothers, how did they become like this? What happened? When they saw Wang Jin and Wang Yu's situation, the people asked at once. Lu Zheng was about to speak. Don't say it. Qin Feiyang reached out to stop him. What's wrong? Lu Zheng was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said telepathically, Wang Jin is not married yet. If everyone knows that she has been abused by Wang Yu these days, how can she face others in the future? Lu Zheng was slightly taken aback and snickered inwardly. You're quite thoughtful. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, let's go directly to the village chief's house. Immediately. The two of them led Wang Jin and Wang Yu to the village chief's house. Little brothers, what's going on? Can you tell us? Seeing that Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng were silent, the people asked anxiously. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, don't worry, everyone. I'll go to the village chief first and give you an explanation later. At the same time, facing the familiar faces around, Wang Jin hid behind Lu Zheng and lowered her head, not daring to look up at everyone. Don't be afraid. They won't know about you. Lu Zheng comforted her with a smile. You know what I'm thinking? Wang Jin whispered. Of course. Lu Zheng nodded. Which woman in the world didn't care about her reputation? Wang Jin was worried that the villagers would look down on her in the future, so she felt pressured. At the same time, Jia's mother, come out quickly. Several villagers ran to Wang Xiaojia's house and shouted. What happened? The woman came out of the inner room. Your daughter is back. It's Jiang Fei and Jiang Zheng. They brought her back. The villagers laughed. What? The woman's body trembled. Where is my sister? Xiaojie Wang ran out of the house and asked excitedly. They went to the village head's house. Young Master Wang Yu is also here, but he and Jin are both injured, and it looks quite serious. The villagers said. Injured? Wang Xiaojie's expression changed and he immediately ran towards the village head's house. Jia, wait for me. The woman hurriedly chased after him. Wang Yu is here too, looks like Wang Jin's disappearance really has something to do with him. Sigh, what a sin. At this time, Lu Hong also walked out. Looking at the backs of Wang Xiaojie and the woman, she couldn't help but let out a long sigh. She also slowly followed. The village head's house. The village chief was sitting in front of the tea table in the hall, drinking his morning tea. Bang! Suddenly, the door was kicked open, giving him a fright. The tea spilled out. He thought it was Wang Yu and was about to get angry. Because in this village, only Wang Yu dared to be so rude in front of him. But when he looked up, his expression suddenly froze. The teacup in his hand also fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. Qin Feiyang stood at the door, looked coldly at the village chief, and walked in with Wang Yu. Lu Zheng and Wang Jin followed closely behind. "Close the door," Qin Feiyang said without turning his head. Wang Jin quickly turned around and closed the door. At this moment, there were already many people gathered outside the door. Looking at the closed door, they were all puzzled. Was there something that they couldn't know? In the hall, Qin Feiyang casually threw Wang Yu on the ground, walked to the tea table, and sat opposite the village chief. He chuckled and said, "Drinking morning tea, you really know how to enjoy it." The village chief frowned and pointed at Wang Yu. "What do you mean by this? Don't you know what I mean?" Lu Zheng sneered. The village chief's pupils constricted and he said in a deep voice, "Then what do you want?" He didn't quibble. Because Wang Jin was also there. As long as one wasn't a fool, one would know that Qin Feiyang and Wang Jin must have known the truth. Qin Feiyang said, "Kill him." "Who?" the village chief said. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Aren't you asking the obvious? Of course it's your son." "Father, don't," Wang Yu panicked and hurriedly cried out. "Shut up. I've already told you not to mess around, but you didn't listen. Now you're afraid?" The village chief shouted, his face as gloomy as water. "Shoo." Lu Zheng made a shushing gesture and said, "Lower your voice, there are many people outside. If they hear you, you and your son might have a hard time." A trace of disdain crawled up the village chief's face. "I know. With your strength, you and your son don't take them seriously, but don't forget that we're here. Of course, if you have the confidence to kill us, then it's a different story." Lu Zheng joked. The village chief said in a deep voice, "We're all cultivators. There's no need to make a fuss over some ordinary people." Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, "It's precisely because they're ordinary people that we intervened. Stop talking nonsense and do it." "Impossible." The village chief shook his head. Qin Feiyang said, "Do you think you have a choice?" "Of course." The village chief chuckled and returned to his seat. Looking at Qin Feiyang and Wang Jin, he said lightly, "I'm highly respected in the village, and you're just outsiders. If I tell everyone that you're the ones who kidnapped Wang Jin, who do you think they'll believe?" "Amazing, you can still make a false accusation. But Wang Jin is still alive. Someone will believe her words." Lu Zheng sneered. "Ask." The village chief sneered and looked at Wang Jin. He asked with a smile, "Jin, tell Grandpa village chief, who hurt you?" "Before you answer, you have to think carefully. Your brother and mother are very worried about you." It was obvious. He was threatening Wang Jin. If Wang Jin dared to speak the truth, he would kill her brother and mother. Wang Jin panicked and looked helplessly at Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. Lu Zheng stepped forward and stood in front of Wang Jin, blocking the village chief's gaze. He smiled and said, "Then tell me, what good solution do you have?" "Leave the village immediately. After you leave, we'll naturally let Wang Jin go. And I promise to take good care of her family in the future. It can be considered as making up for the harm you, caused her." The village chief smiled. Lu Zheng's gaze turned cold. He shouted, "Can this kind of harm be made up for by money and material goods? For these pitiful worms living at the bottom of society, what can't money and material goods replace?" The village chief said, his tone full of disdain. Lu Zheng shook his head and said, "You're too arrogant. Do you think that you can play with the dignity and fate of others just because you have some cultivation? The weak are prey to the strong. This has always been the law of survival in this world. As cultivators, you don't need this old man to remind you." The village chief sneered. "Indeed, I don't need you to remind me. But I have to remind you that if you don't kill Wang Yu now, you and your father will die later." Lu Zheng said with a grin. "Who do you think you're talking to?" The village chief's gaze turned cold, and a wisp of emperor's might emerged. War Emperor. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng were surprised. Moreover, when the village chief released his emperor's might, Qin Feiyang also felt a bloody aura that he hated. Although I don't know your cultivation, you don't look old. No matter how strong you are, you can't be that strong. So, two young people, be sensible. Life is precious. Don't seek your own death. The village chief withdrew his emperor's might and looked at the two indifferently. Wang Yu was no longer afraid. He stood up and stood behind the village chief, looking at Qin Feiyang and the other two mockingly. Lu Zheng transmitted his voice, have you determined his cultivation? 1-star War Emperor. Qin Feiyang thought. However, he was extremely confused. What was that bloody aura that he hated? Lu Zheng's pupils shrank. Not simple. There was actually a 1-star War Emperor hiding in a village. But why were the father and son hiding in this village? The village chief looked at the two arrogantly and said, this old man's patience is limited. Get lost now. You're going too far. Qin Feiyang's gaze turned cold. Viper and Dan Wangkai immediately appeared. The father and son were shocked. There were companions? A mere war emperor dares to be arrogant in front of our young master. You have guts. The two sneered and released a wisp of emperor's might. War Emperor. He actually has 2 war emperors with him. The village chief's gaze trembled. What surprised him the most was the way Viper and Dan Wangkai addressed Qin Feiyang. Young master. Although it was just a simple address, the hidden meaning behind it was extraordinary. Only the direct descendants of some super forces would be addressed this way. Who are you? The village chief looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Viper snorted coldly and said, someone you can't afford to offend. Immediately do as the young master says. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. The village chief's expression changed. He looked at Qin Feiyang pleadingly and said, can you change the conditions? I only have one son. What does it have to do with me? Qin Feiyang said indifferently. The village chief looked flustered. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of a plan. His eyes lit up as he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, how about this? I'll let Wang Yu marry Wang Jin and promise to treat her well for the rest of their lives. Yes, yes, yes. I'll treat her well and hold her in the palm of my hand. Wang Yu also quickly promised. I don't want to. Wang Jin shook her head. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Wang Yu said angrily, Wang Jin, don't be stubborn. No one will be willing to marry you in your current state except for me. Lu Zheng said indifferently, I'm willing to marry her. You, Wang Yu glared at Lu Zheng angrily. Qin Feiyang, Viper, and Dan Wangkai also looked at Lu Zheng in surprise. Wang Jin's face was also full of shock. Lu Zheng coughed dryly and said to Qin Feiyang and the other two telepathically, don't misunderstand. I'm just saying this to comfort her so that she won't be sad. Qin Feiyang glanced at Wang Jin and said to himself, of course I won't misunderstand, but I'm afraid that she'll take it seriously. She won't, right? Lu Zheng glanced at Wang Jin from the corner of his eyes, feeling a little guilty. Chapter 12:21. The village chief clenched his fists. This was a blatant slap to his face. He stared at Qin Feiyang gloomily and asked, is there really no room for negotiation? No. Qin Feiyang shook his head with an indifferent expression. The village chief said in a low voice, then if I kill him, will you let me go? Father. Wang Yu's body trembled as he looked at the village chief in disbelief. Shut up. The village chief glared at him fiercely and turned to stare at Qin Feiyang, waiting for Qin Feiyang's reply. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he smiled. If you can really do it, it's not impossible for me to let you go. The village chief immediately turned and stared at Wang Yu like a ferocious beast. Father, you can't do this. I'm your son. Even a vicious tiger will not eat its own children. Wang Yu waved his hand as he retreated, looking extremely flustered. I've already warned you repeatedly not to mess around in the village. You're the one who didn't listen. This is the price for disobeying me. Don't blame me. You asked for it. The village chief's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He suddenly raised his clenched hand and slapped the top of Wang Yu's head. Ah! Accompanied by a shrill scream, Wang Yu's head exploded like a watermelon. That bloody scene scared Wang Jin so much that he directly jumped into Lu Zheng's arms, trembling. Qin Feiyang immediately looked at Wang Jin, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Why is there a scream coming from outside? What happened inside? When the people outside heard Wang Yu scream, the surprise on their faces became even stronger. I want to find my sister. Open the door and let me in. At the door. Wang Xiaojia knocked on the door with all his might. The woman standing at the side was also anxious. Lu Hong couldn't stand it anymore. She grabbed Wang Xiaojia's wrist and frowned. Stop fooling around. When the matter is settled, your sister will naturally come out. Wang Xiaojia said, but inside. Lu Hong said, with your two brothers, no one can hurt your sister. Don't worry. Hearing this, Wang Xiaojia quieted down. Inside the hall. With a thud, Wang Yu's body fell to the ground. The village chief closed his eyes in pain, then turned to Qin Feiyang, gritted his teeth and asked, Are you satisfied now? Qin Feiyang said indifferently, You should be asking Wang Jin man if he's satisfied, not me. Village chief looked at Wang Jin and said, I've already killed this bastard. Can you forgive me? Wang Jin glanced at Wang Yu and saw the blood on the ground. Her face turned pale and she hid in Lu Zheng's arms again. Qin Feiyang said, It seems that she can't forgive you. The village chief's expression changed and he said angrily, But you promised me just now that as long as I kill him, you will let me go. Dan Wangkai sneered, You're getting old. Is there something wrong with your ears? My young master only said that it's not impossible to let you go, but he didn't say that he must let you go. The village chief's face turned pale. Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Zheng and said, I have something to ask him. Take her out first. Okay. Lu Zheng nodded, turned around, and helped Wang Jin to the door. When the door was opened, Wang Xiaojia and the woman immediately ran in. Sister, Jin, Lu Zheng raised his eyebrows and hurriedly led Wang Jin out. Then, he closed the door so that no one would see the bloody scene inside. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and looked at the village chief. Tell me, why are you and your father hiding here? The village chief hurriedly said, We're tired of the killing outside, so we're living in seclusion here for peace and happiness. Do you think I'll believe you? If you're really tired of killing, why are you running amok here? Qin Feiyang sneered. I'm not. You can go and ask everyone. Everyone can see how good I am to them. The village chief said aggrievedly. Qin Feiyang said, Then why did I hear you say that the people in this village are just a group of animals you're rearing? The village chief looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Are you wondering how I know? Qin Feiyang smiled disdainfully and took out the image crystal. The image recorded yesterday slowly unfolded in the void. How is this possible? Looking at the image, the village chief's old face was full of disbelief. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, Just now, who do you think the villagers will believe? Actually, I'm not worried at all because I have this evidence in my hands. I just don't want to make things difficult for Wang Jin in the future, so I haven't taken it out. The village chief collapsed on the ground weakly like a dead dog. It turned out that the other party already had irrefutable evidence. He had been so arrogant before. How ridiculous. Qin Feiyang put away the image crystal and said, "If you want to live, you have to tell the truth." The village chief said, "I really don't talk nonsense. A person like you definitely won't live in seclusion here because you're tired of the killing outside. What is your goal? Tell me." Qin Feiyang shouted. The village chief's body trembled. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. A bone-piercing killing intent appeared in his eyes. Naive. Dan Wangkai smiled coldly. Like a ghost, he instantly landed in front of the village chief and then slapped his lower abdomen. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, the village chief's lower abdomen was torn apart by the battle chi, and his chi was torn apart. Dan Wangkai coldly snorted, "We've seen a lot of people like you, so you better behave yourself." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and suddenly said, "Give him a facial restoration pill." Facial restoration pill? Dan Wangkai was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Dan Wangkai didn't understand, but he didn't ask much. He took out a facial restoration pill and stuffed it into the village chief's mouth. Time passed by breath. More than 10 breaths later, the village chief's appearance didn't change at all. Did I guess wrong? Qin Feiyang frowned. Just now he was thinking that the people in this village were all ordinary people. How could the village chief be a cultivator? So he suspected that the original village chief had been killed and this person was a fake. Who would have thought that it was actually true? Qin Feiyang said, "What's your relationship with Master Shen?" Since there was no problem with the identity of the village chief, he must be related to Master Shen. The village chief just looked at him quietly and didn't say anything. "I'll make you talk." Qin Feiyang smiled indifferently. With a wave of his hand, the village chief was immediately sent to the castle. Another pitiful person. Viper sighed. He reaped what he sowed. Why don't you just tell us the truth? Why did he have to go in and suffer? Dan Wangkai shook his head and sneered. Fatso and the white-eyed wolf's means of torture were not a joke. After a while, the village chief couldn't bear it anymore. Qin Feiyang took him out of the castle, only to see that the village chief was stripped naked. The previous toughness was gone. He covered his buttocks and there was only fear in his eyes. "What's the situation? Why are you covering your buttocks? Don't tell me he was raped?" Viper and Dan Wangkai looked at each other. Actually, with the character of the white-eyed wolf, it was really possible for him to do such a thing. Dan Wangkai coughed, holding back his laughter, and said, "Now tell me, what's your relationship with Master Shen?" The village chief said in horror, "I can't tell you. If I tell you, even if you don't kill me, they won't let me go." They? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. It turned out that it was not only Master Shen, there were others. "Who are you talking about?" Dan Wangkai asked. "I really can't tell you." "Kill me, please." The village chief shook his head and looked at the three of them. Dan Wangkai grinned and said, "It seems that you still want to go to the castle." No, I'll tell you. The village chief hurriedly waved his hand in horror. To think that he was raped at such an old age? He had lost all his face. "Then tell me quickly," Dan Wangkai said angrily. His patience was almost worn out. The village chief quivered and said, "I don't know who they are. I only know that they belong to a mysterious organization, and they are very strong. Even you are not their opponents." Dan Wangkai and Viper looked at each other. So scary? As for Qin Feiyang, he leaned back in his seat and remained silent, as if he was thinking about something. The village chief said, "Master Shen is a 5-star combat emperor, and Master Shen is the weakest among them." A 5-star combat emperor is the weakest? This time, even Qin Feiyang could not stay calm. He suddenly stood up, his eyes full of shock. He did not expect that there was such a terrifying and mysterious force in the great Qin Empire. Wait! Could it be the remnants of the Heavenly Sun Empire? The more he thought about it, the more Qin Feiyang felt that it was possible. Because other than the great Qin Empire, only the former Heavenly Sun Empire could cultivate so many experts. Continue asking. After a while, Qin Feiyang said to Dan Wangkai and returned to the chair, lost in thought. Dan Wangkai looked at the village chief and said, "How did you know them?" "I don't know. Because before me, the people in our village already knew them," the village chief said. Dan Wangkai was slightly stunned and frowned. "Everyone in the village knows?" The village chief waved his hand and said, "No, no, no, I didn't make it clear. All the village chiefs know, the other villagers don't know." "You mean, all the village chiefs of this village are related to that mysterious organization?" Dan Wangkai said. "Yes. We take orders from them, and they give us elixirs and battle arts to help us cultivate." The village chief nodded. Dan Wangkai said, "What do they want you to do?" The village chief said, "You don't have to do anything. You just have to manage this village and not let the villagers go to the outside world or contact the outside world. So it was you who created this isolated village. But what right do you have to do this? They are humans, not animals. They have their own choices and freedom, understand?" Dan Wangkai said angrily. "Yes, yes, yes." The village chief nodded repeatedly. Dan Wangkai took a deep breath and asked, "Where are the previous village chiefs now?" The village chief said, "They all entered that mysterious organization in the end and never appeared again." Dan Wangkai said, "Do you know where that mysterious organization is?" The village chief shook his head. "It seems that we have to start with this Master Shen." Dan Wangkai said in a low voice, "We heard from Wang Xiaojia and his mother that every 2 years Master Shen would come to the village to recruit disciples, right?" "Yes." The village chief nodded. Dan Wangkai said, "Then are the children in the village really there to cultivate, or is there some other purpose?" "I don't know." The village chief shook his head. Dan Wangkai asked, "When will Master Shen come next time?" The village chief thought and said, 4 months. 4 months, Dan Wangkai murmured and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang had been thinking, and his brows were tightly knitted together. Seeing this, Dan Wangkai didn't disturb him and waited quietly. Time passed little by little. Suddenly. Chapter 12:22. Lying? Dan Wangkai and Viper looked at each other, then turned to look at the village chief, a cold light flashing in their eyes. The village chief panicked and hurriedly waved his hand, "I'm not lying." "Good. Since you said that you're not lying, then let me ask you, when did you start cultivating?" Qin Feiyang said. "I've been cultivating since I was young. Because that mysterious organization has a rule that before I step down, I must first nurture the next village chief. For example, my son Wang Yu. If I want to step down, I have to nurture him first." The village chief said. Qin Feiyang said, "Then how old are you now?" The village chief said, 85. Dan Wangkai immediately said angrily, "Ridiculous, even if you started cultivating at the age of 5, only 80 years have passed. To be able to break through to the War King in 80 years, who are you lying to? Do you think you're a peerless genius?" He finally understood why Qin Feiyang said that the village chief was lying. A cultivator, especially someone who had reached the War King realm, could live for at least a few thousand years. And as the village chief of this village, seeing him live for so long, wouldn't the other villagers be suspicious? Definitely. Not only would they be suspicious, they would also discuss it. But in these 2 days, they didn't hear anyone discussing this matter in the village. What did this mean? It meant that this person was not honest and was still lying to them. "It's true, I'm not lying." From the time I started cultivating until now, I've only used 70 to 80 years. The village chief said anxiously. Haha, Dan Wangkai and Viper laughed out loud. Even they took 200 to 300 years to cultivate to the level of a 9-star war saint. One had to know. They were also the top 10 heroes of the Qinghai Sea. In terms of talent, they were the top existences in the entire forgotten continent. But this old thing said that it only took 70 to 80 years. Didn't that mean that his talent was even better than theirs? What a joke! Qin Feiyang frowned. Under such circumstances, the village chief shouldn't dare to lie, but why? If the village chief had opened the door of potential, then it would definitely be possible. However, he didn't see the potential mark on the village chief's chest. Qin Feiyang asked, "How did you do it?" "It's a type of pill." The village chief said. "Medicinal pills?" Dan Wangkai and Viper looked at each other. What kind of pill could allow someone to improve so quickly? Qin Feiyang narrowed his eyes slightly. Hearing the word medicinal pill, he thought of a type of medicinal pill, the blood fiend pill. Qin Feiyang said solemnly, "What kind of medicinal pill?" "Take it out and let me see." "The Qiankuan bag is in the study." "I'll go get it now." The village chief nodded and got up from the ground. He covered his butt and limped towards the study room. Qin Feiyang also got up and followed him. Viper rubbed his chin and said with a sneaky smile, looking at him, "It seems like he was really raped. He's already so old, yet he's still being tortured like this. How pitiful. The shadow in his heart probably won't disappear for the rest of his life." Dan Wangkai chuckled. When he heard the two of them discussing, the village chief who was walking in front could not help but stiffen up as his heart was filled with shame. Viper hollered, "Hurry up. What are you dawdling for?" Gritting his teeth, the village chief endured his anger and entered the study room. Even though it was called a study room, there wasn't a single book inside. Instead, it was filled with ornamental artwork. The village chief walked to a jade bottle and reached out to grab it, turning it forcefully. Boom! Accompanied by a deep rumble, the ground in the middle of the study room split open and an underground secret chamber appeared before the eyes of Qin Feiyang and the other two. The secret chamber wasn't big and was about 5 feet wide. In the middle, there was a stone platform with a Qiankuan bag on it. "Go!" Qin Feiyang said to Viper. Viper nodded and leaped into the secret chamber. Grabbing the Qiankuan bag, he lowered his head to check it. Very quickly. Viper's face darkened as he leaped up and landed beside Qin Feiyang. Glaring at the village chief coldly, he took out a blood-red pill and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang did not take it and merely looked at the pill quietly. However, his eyes were filled with a shocking killing intent. The pill was blood-red as though it was condensed from fresh blood and emitted a shocking malevolent aura. That was right. That was the blood termination pill. Furthermore, there were 3 pill patterns on the blood termination pill. He's worse than a beast. Dan Wangkai was enraged as well. He turned to the village chief and hollered, "Do you know what that pill is?" The village chief shook his head. Dan Wangkai hollered, "That's a blood termination pill. It's refined from human flesh. Do you know that?" As one of the 10 greats of Azure Sea, be it Viper or Dan Wangkai, their hands were stained with blood. However, they had never thought of refining a blood termination pill. That was because the word evil was no longer needed to describe the refinement of a blood termination pill. It was completely heartless and inhumane. Human flesh. The village chief's body shuddered as he stared at the blood termination pill and vomited. In the past, he only knew that this pill was magical, but he had never thought that it was refined from human flesh. Taking a blood termination pill is equivalent to eating a living person. In the past 70 or 80 years, how many people have you eaten? Dan Wangkai said in disgust. For this kind of person, even if he was cut into 1,000 pieces and crushed into ashes, it would still be difficult to resolve the hatred in his heart. The village chief's mind trembled as he vomited even more violently. Viper said, "Your son broke through to 1-star battle saint so quickly. He must have also taken a blood termination pill." The village chief nodded. Viper snorted coldly, "You and your father both deserve to die. Don't kill me. I really didn't know that this pill was refined from human flesh. I regret it now." The village chief knelt on the ground and cried bitterly as he looked at the three people. Qin Feiyang looked at him indifferently and asked, "You really don't know who I am?" "I don't know. Although our cultivation is not bad, that mysterious organization did not allow us to leave the village. Usually, Master Shen only taught us cultivation and gave us pills. He never mentioned the situation outside to us." The village chief shook his head. Dan Wangkai said in disdain, "If they don't allow you to leave, you won't leave. You really are two obedient dogs." The village chief's heart was incomparably bitter. "Kill them." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and turned to walk out of the study. "Don't. I beg you, spare my old life. I will be your slave and serve you tea." The village chief's eyes trembled. He quickly begged and kowtowed. Bang, bang. "We don't need a scum like you." Viper smiled coldly. A wisp of poisonous gas drilled into the village chief's forehead. "Ah!" The village chief immediately hugged his head and howled miserably on the ground. Not long after, the village chief's flesh and blood all rotted away. Finally, only a white skeleton was left. Then Dan Wangkai and Master Shen walked out of the study. They saw Qin Feiyang sitting beside the tea table in the hall. Hence, they walked over. "Take a look inside his Qianquan bag. Is there anything related to that mysterious organization? As for the blood demon pills, destroy them all." Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Viper and Master Shen nodded. A moment later, Viper raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. He shook his head and said, "No, other than the blood demon pills, there are only some herbs and gold coins." Qin Feiyang said, "It seems that we can only wait for Master Shen to come before we can find out the answer." Dan Wangkai frowned and said, "But we still have to wait for 4 months before he comes. Are we going to waste so much time here? This mysterious organization refined so many blood demon pills. It must be extraordinary. I have to investigate it clearly. And I can afford to wait for 4 months. Moreover, I can wait while cultivating. 4 months should be enough for me to break through to 1-star war emperor." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He was only 1 step away from becoming a war emperor. At that time, he would activate the kill formula. If the false god didn't appear, who would be able to fight against him? "Then do you have any suspects?" Dan Wangkai asked. "Yes. Just now, I was thinking that this mysterious organization should be the remnants of the Heavenly Sun Empire. But when I saw the blood demon pills, I felt that it wasn't the case." Qin Feiyang said. "What do you mean?" Dan Wangkai and Master Shen were suspicious. Mu Tianyang has all the pill formulas in the pill scripture. If these people are really the remnants of the Heavenly Sun Empire, then the village chief and his son should be able to unlock the door of potential. Qin Feiyang said. Viper asked, "Could it be that they don't fully trust the village chief and his son?" "That's possible. But there's another very important factor. This factor is Lu Xingchen. If the mysterious organization is really the remnants of the Heavenly Sun Empire, then Lu Xingchen would definitely think of ways to hide it from me. Why would he let me come to the reincarnation ocean? Although there are many paths to the reincarnation ocean and they might not pass through this village, what if I bump into him? Wouldn't that be disadvantageous to him? Based on my understanding of Lu Xingchen, he would never do something that would harm himself. Qin Feiyang said. That makes sense. But apart from the Heavenly Sun Empire, who else could nurture such a powerful and mysterious force? And after thousands of years, no one has discovered it. Viper and Dan Wangkai frowned. Suddenly, their gazes trembled as they raised their heads to look at Qin Feiyang. They said in shock, "Could it be your father?" Qin Feiyang's eyes glowed. Apart from the fallen Heavenly Sun Empire, it seemed that only the current emperor had this ability. If it's really him, I will kill him with my own hands. He clenched his fists and said word by word. Dan Wangkai and Master Shen looked at each other and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. The truth of this matter was probably not far from what they had guessed. Phew! Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, stood up, and said, "Dispose of their bodies. Then you two disguise yourselves as the father and son and wait for Master Shen to take the bait. Is there a need to go through so much trouble? When he comes, can't we just take him down and be done with it?" Dan Wangkai said disdainfully. "It's not that simple. Since he belongs to the mysterious organization, Master Shen's mouth must be very tight. Therefore, we can't confront him directly. Moreover, dealing with Master Shen is only secondary to my arrangement. The main reason is to appease the villagers of this village. Think about it. If they know that the village chief and his son were killed by us, what will they do? It will definitely cause a commotion and they will ask us why. How will we explain it at that time? We can't tell them the truth. If we do, Wang Jin will be too ashamed to live." Chapter 12:23. They'll find out about the death of the village chief and his son sooner or later. If you don't tell them the truth, you'll have to take the blame. Dan Wangkai frowned. "That's right." Viper nodded. When the villagers found out about the death of the village chief and his son, they would definitely think of what happened today. By then, they would naturally think that they were the ones who killed the father and son. If they told them the truth, the villagers would definitely thank them. However, if they didn't tell them the truth, the villagers would definitely hate them. They might even be labeled as someone who killed the innocent and disregarded human life. This was a stark contrast. We can only protect Wang Jin's reputation. Even if I have to take the blame, it doesn't matter. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Dan Wangkai and Viper smiled helplessly. "Alright, you guys deal with it. I'll go find a place to cultivate in seclusion." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and opened the portal. He walked in without looking back. Sometimes, the young master is scary, but sometimes, he's touching. After the portal disappeared, Viper shook his head and sighed. "Yeah. I don't think there are many people in the world who would go to such lengths for a person he met by chance. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's deal with it quickly." Dan Wangkai smiled. He dragged Wang Yu's body into the study and threw it into the secret room. Viper also found a few pieces of cloth and wiped the blood on the ground. After everything was cleaned up, the two of them took the illusion pills and changed into the appearance of the father and son. They opened the door and walked out. "Village Chief. Young Master Wang Yu, are you okay?" The villagers outside immediately asked with concern. However, Wang Jin's face was full of surprise. She clearly saw Wang Yu being killed with her own eyes. How did he appear in front of her alive? Lu Zheng and Lu Hong were also suspicious. Viper looked at Lu Zheng and Lu Hong and smiled secretly. "It's us." The two of them suddenly realized. "Village Chief, say something." The villagers urged impatiently. "It's nothing." Dan Wangkai waved his hand and smiled. "Then what's with the screams inside?" The villagers were puzzled. Dan Wangkai smiled and said, "It was just a small accident. It's fine now. Everyone, disperse. You scared us to death." We thought you were fighting inside. Oh right, where's little brother Jiang Fei? Why don't I see him? Everyone looked around the hall. Dan Wangkai said, he left through the back door. I think he's going to do something. He'll be back soon. This little brother is really a busy person. Yes, I've been in the village for 2 days, but I've only seen him once. You've seen him once, but I haven't even seen him once. Everyone began to talk at once. Dan Wangkai waved his hand again and said, all right, there will be more opportunities in the future. Let's disperse. All right, we'll get going then. Call us if you need anything. Everyone left in 2s and 3s. In the end, only Lu Zheng, Lu Hong, Wang Jin, Wang Xiaojia, and the woman were left. Dan Wangkai looked at Wang Xiaojia and the woman and said with a faint smile, you two go back first. The mother and son were a little hesitant. Dan Wangkai said, don't worry, Brother Jiang and Miss Lu will bring Jin back later. The father and son looked at Lu Zheng and Wang Xiaojia. Lu Hong nodded at them, and then the mother and son turned to leave. After the mother and son left, Dan Wangkai looked at Wang Jin and said, young master has helped you hide what Wang Yu did to you. Don't feel inferior in the future, and don't do stupid things. Live well. Yes. Wang Jin nodded respectfully. Dan Wangkai continued, also, if the villagers ask, what's with the injuries on your body? You were injured by a wild beast. Okay. Wang Jin nodded again. Dan Wangkai smiled, looked at Lu Zheng and Wang Xiaojia, and said, that's all. Take her back. Wait, where's my little cousin? Lu Zheng asked secretly. Needless to say, the village chief must be dead, but how could something happen to Qin Feiyang? And he left through the back door. Dan Wangkai said, young master said that he's going to cultivate in seclusion. We don't know where he went. Cultivating in seclusion? Isn't he going to the Sea of Reincarnation? Lu Zheng frowned. He's going. But young master said that he wants to investigate the mysterious organization. You don't know yet, but the village chief and his son have been taking blood evil pills all these years, and the blood evil pills came from that mysterious organization. Dan Wangkai said secretly. Mysterious organization? Blood evil pills? What's going on? Lu Zheng and Lu Hong looked at each other, and then looked at Dan Wangkai and Wang Xiaojia suspiciously. Before they interrogated the village chief, Lu Zheng took Wang Jin out, so he didn't know what happened later. Dan Wangkai explained briefly. I'll go. Master Shen is a 5-star combat emperor? And he's the weakest in that mysterious organization? This is a bit ridiculous. Lu Zheng and Lu Hong were shocked. Dan Wangkai said secretly, that's how it is. Let's take these 4 months as self-cultivation. I don't care. Lu Zheng shrugged, and asked secretly, but Master Shen is so strong. Little cousin, are you sure you can defeat him? Since young master has chosen to stay, he should have some confidence. Dan Wangkai frowned, not daring to be sure. Then let's take one step at a time. Lu Zheng smiled faintly, looked down at Wang Jin, and said, let's go back. Okay. Wang Jin lowered her head, and asked softly, are they the village chief and Wang Yu? This is a secret. I can't tell you for the time being. Anyway, they won't hurt you anymore. Lu Zheng smiled. Wang Jin breathed a sigh of relief, and said gratefully with a red face, thank you. You're a good person. Lu Zheng laughed dryly. Then, Lu Zheng and Wang Xiaojia left with Wang Jin. What young master is worried about might really happen. Looking at Wang Jin's back, Dan Wangkai whispered. What is young master worried about? Viper was suspicious. Have you forgotten so quickly? Not long ago, Wang Yu said that except for him, no one would be willing to marry Wang Jin. Lu Zheng said that he was willing. Look at Wang Jin now. She has already developed a dependence on Lu Zheng. I think Lu Zheng is going to be in trouble. Dan Wangkai smiled gloatingly. Viper looked up at Wang Jin's back, and his eyes darted around. Suddenly, he grinned and said, if that's the case, then it's going to be interesting. Gradually, peace returned to the village. In the beginning, Wang Jin often sat alone in a daze, or hid in the house, unwilling to go out. After all, after such a thing happened, no matter which woman it was, she would definitely not be able to get over it in a short time. However, under Lu Zheng and Lu Hong's guidance, she slowly walked out of the shadows and regained a lot of vitality. Her mental outlook also gradually changed. However, as Dan Wangkai and Wang Xiaojia expected, Wang Jin's dependence on Lu Zheng became stronger, and she often stuck to him. She also served tea, washed clothes, and cooked. At first, Lu Zheng did not take it to heart. He only thought that Wang Jin did these things because she was grateful to him for saving her life. However, slowly, he felt that something was amiss. Wasn't she being too passionate? Finally, one day, he accidentally saw Wang Jin sitting alone in the house and drawing a portrait of him. Moreover, Wang Jin's eyes were filled with adoration when she looked at him in the portrait. He immediately realized that something was wrong. However, he could not bear to say it out loud. Wang Jin had just recovered. If he confessed directly, it would definitely hurt her again. Therefore, he went to Lu Hong and Dan Wangkai for help. Would the three of them help? Definitely not. They all looked like they were watching a show. This made him very angry. He sent a message to Qin Feiyang, but Qin Feiyang could not be bothered with him. There was no other way. He could only slowly distance himself from Wang Jin. He wanted to use this attitude to let Wang Jin understand his feelings. However, not only did Wang Jin not understand what he meant, but she also stuck to him even more. This caused him to be worried. It was as if he was playing hide-and-seek with Wang Jin all day long. As soon as he saw Wang Jin appear, he would immediately run away. As for Dan Wangkai and Viper, they usually cultivated in the house. They would only go out if there was something important. As for Lu Hong, she often interacted with the villagers. Sometimes, she even accompanied the villagers to go hunting. After a while, everyone became familiar with each other. The villagers here also liked her very much. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also very sensible. However, she did not forget to cultivate. Usually, when it was late at night, she would leave the village alone and find a place to cultivate in silence. There was also Wang Xiaojia. Ever since he saw the methods of Qin Feiyang and the other two, he admired the three of them. In the beginning, because he was still unfamiliar with them, he was too embarrassed to ask. However, after he became familiar with Lu Hong and the other two, he pestered the two of them every day to teach him cultivation. No matter what Lu Hong wanted to do, she had to ask Qin Feiyang first. This had already become a habit, so she did not agree easily. As for Lu Zheng, in order to avoid Wang Jin, he lived in fear all day long and was even on the verge of collapse. How could he be in the mood to teach Wang Xiaojia? If it were not for the fact that he had to investigate that mysterious organization, he would have left. So, whenever Wang Xiaojia mentioned that he wanted to cultivate, he would directly ignore him or push the blame to Qin Feiyang. What he meant was, if you want to cultivate, you can go to your uncle Jiang Fei first. If he agrees, I will teach you. Later, Wang Xiaojia squatted at the entrance of the village every day, waiting for Qin Feiyang to return. But day after day, let alone Qin Feiyang, there was not even a shadow of him. Just like that. 4 months passed. Early in the morning, outside the village, in a mountain stream hundreds of miles away, a terrifying emperor's aura suddenly erupted. The fierce beasts within 100 miles were all alarmed. Looking at a short mountain that was dozens of feet high, their fierce eyes were full of awe. On a bluestone at the top of the mountain, a young man in white was sitting cross-legged. He looked to be about 23 or 24 years old. His eyes were closed, and his facial features were as sharp as knives. His two sword-like eyebrows exuded a threatening aura. In the impression of these fierce beasts, this young man in white came 4 months ago. At that time, they were still thinking, how could a human be so stupid as to take the initiative to come to their door? But when they swarmed up and were ready to enjoy this delicious meal, a strange thing happened. This human, with just a wave of his hand, killed several nearby saint beasts. This frightened them and they all fled for their lives. However, they did not know if this human was kind or not, but he did not chase after them. Since then, they did not dare to act rashly again. And the young man in white had been cultivating on the top of the mountain, never leaving half a step. Chapter 12:24. This white-clothed youth was Qin Feiyang. After 4 months of closed-door cultivation, his cultivation had finally broken through and stepped into the one-star war emperor. His battle strength had doubled. Shua. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and 2 rays of light shot out. Now, with his methods, he could completely contend against the current emperor. However, after stepping into the war emperor, every time he broke through a small realm, the time he would need would definitely be longer. It was easy to deal with an emperor alone, but to contend against the entire Great Qin Empire, he would need to at least have the cultivation of a 9-star war sect. Moreover, his enemies were not just the Great Qin Empire. There was also Mu Tianyang, the Mu family, and the Pill Pagoda of the Forgotten Continent. Until now, he still hadn't figured out the true background of these superpowers. Therefore, he couldn't be complacent and had to continue working hard. Who? Qin Feiyang exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, retracted his emperor's might, and took out the image crystal. Buzz. Soon, Dan Wangkai and Viper's images appeared. Greetings, young master. The 2 of them stood in the village chief's study and bowed. Is Master Shen here? Qin Feiyang asked. Not yet. According to our side inquiries, Master Shen usually only comes at noon. Dan Wangkai said. Noon? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then laughed. It's still early, I'll go take a look at the 6-word divine arts and pill scripture first. You broke through? The 2 of them were surprised. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. So fast. The 2 of them were dumbstruck. Although they had both opened the door of potential, in terms of talent, they were still inferior to Qin Feiyang by quite a bit. Because in these 4 months, none of them had broken through. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, turned off the image crystal, and entered the castle. Seeing Qin Feiyang disappear, the nearby beasts heaved a sigh of relief. Inside the castle. What's going on? Just as he entered the castle, Qin Feiyang was stunned. The entire castle was now emitting rays of dazzling divine light. Furthermore, on the ground of the ancient castle, a 5-pointed star pattern appeared. The pattern was white, and it rotated on its own, emitting a dazzling light. We don't know either. Just as you were breaking through, the castle suddenly changed. Fatso, Wolf King, and the other beasts gathered together and looked at the pentagram under their feet and the divine light on the surrounding walls. Their faces were also full of shock and bewilderment. A sudden change? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. What was going on? Just in case, he led everyone out of the ancient castle and appeared on the mountain peak. Why are you here again? You even brought so many companions? The nearby ferocious beasts panicked and turned around to flee. How could Qin Feiyang be in the mood to care about them? With a thought, the ancient castle appeared on his glabella. Rumble. Immediately. A terrifying divine might gushed out from the ancient castle. This divine might made Fatso and the others turn pale with fright, and an uncontrollable fear emerged in their hearts. What's going on? Why would it awaken on its own for no reason? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Fatso said, could it be that there was some kind of seal in this ancient castle in the past, and when you broke through to the warlord realm, the seal was automatically removed? Seal. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. It seemed that Lu Xingchen had said something like this before. You guys wait outside, I'll go in and take a look. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he entered the castle again. The pentagram on the ground was still there, like a compass, spinning non-stop, and the light was even brighter than before. Boom! Suddenly, 5 rays of divine light emerged from the 5 points on the pentagram, respectively merging into the walls above, front, back, left, and right. An even more surprising scene appeared. Above, front, back, left, and right walls, an identical pentagram appeared. This, Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. What exactly did these pentagrams represent? He glanced at the 6 pentagrams, carefully raised his hand, and reached out to the pentagram on the wall in front of him. But when he came into contact with the pentagram, he didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. Qin Feiyang was completely confused. After a while, the 6 pentagrams fused into the wall and disappeared. The divine light on the ancient castle also gradually faded. Crack! But just as the divine light faded, a deafening sound rang out in the ancient castle. Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound, only to see a crack on the left wall of the ancient castle. The crack continued to extend to both sides, and finally formed a door. Qin Feiyang was completely dumbfounded. First, there were 6 strange pentagrams, and now there was a cracked door. What was going on? He swallowed his saliva, walked to the door, raised his arm, pressed his big hand on the door, and pushed with force. Immediately, he was surprised. He couldn't push it open. One had to know. With his current strength, it was enough to destroy a mountain, but at this moment, he couldn't push this door open. He took a deep breath, shook his arms suddenly, and attacked with all his strength. But the door in front of him still didn't move. This, Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. A door appeared, but he couldn't open it. What was behind this door? He tried a few more times, but still couldn't open it, so he left the ancient castle. How is it? Fatso and others quickly surrounded him. It's so strange. Qin Feiyang shook his head. What's strange? Everyone was surprised. When I went in just now, pentagrams also appeared on the other 5 walls, and a stone door appeared on one of the walls. Qin Feiyang said. Stone door? Everyone's eyes widened. This was too strange, wasn't it? Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the ancient castle fell into his palm, and the divine light on it gradually faded. Fatso glanced at the ancient castle and said, although I don't know what's going on, something must have happened to it. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a thought, the ancient castle turned into a ray of black light and entered the space between his eyebrows. And just as the ancient castle entered the space between his eyebrows, a huge amount of information poured into his mind like a tide. Qin Feiyang was stunned, and quickly closed his eyes to check the information. Gradually, his face was filled with ecstasy. What's going on? Seeing this, Fatty, Wolf King, and the other beasts stared at him suspiciously. But they didn't say anything. Because they knew that Qin Feiyang must have found something. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang let out a cry of surprise, and even his breathing became rapid. Fatso and Wolf King were even more curious. So that's how it is, haha, so that's how it is. A moment later, Qin Feiyang suddenly burst into laughter. His face was filled with excitement, and he was so excited that his speech became somewhat incoherent. Little Qin Zi, what do you know? Quick, tell us. White-eyed Wolf urged impatiently. Yes. Tell us quickly. Let's have fun together. Fatso said. Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes, which were shining, and said with a smile, as you expected, the ancient castle has indeed changed, and it's an earth-shaking change. What change? Everyone was surprised. I'll take you to the ancient castle first. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and everyone immediately appeared in the ancient castle. A door really did appear. Fatty, Wolf King, and the other beasts immediately noticed the stone door. They all gathered around it, their eyes filled with surprise. Can this be opened? The pangolin turned to Qin Feiyang and asked. It can't be opened. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Fatso waved his big sleeve and said arrogantly, get out of the way. Fat Lord will have a try. Wolf King and the other beasts stepped aside. Fatso calmed down for a moment, then the battle chi in his palm surged, and he suddenly slapped it. Boom! He used all his strength, but the stone door didn't move at all. Damn it! Fatso was dumbfounded on the spot. You're useless. Get out of the way. I'll do it. Wolf King glanced at Fatso disdainfully, walked to the door in high spirits, and slammed it with his paw. But the stone door didn't move at all. Wolf King was embarrassed. Why can't it be opened? Everyone was puzzled. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said with a smile, don't bother. We can't open this door. Why? Fatso asked suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, there is a seal on the door. I can only open it when I break through to the War God realm. There is really a seal? Fatso was surprised. Yes. Just now, a message appeared in my mind. According to the message, there are a total of 3 seals in the ancient castle. The first seal seals the ancient castle's abilities, such as movement, X-ray vision, sound transmission, and time array. As for the first seal, I need to break through to the 1-star War God realm. The second seal is this stone door. It needs to wait until I break through to the War God realm. As for the third seal, there is no record in the message. It might only appear when I open the second seal. Qin Feiyang said. I see. Everyone was enlightened. Spirit Snake Emperor said, wait, you said movement, X-ray vision, sound transmission, and time array? What the hell are these? Are you stupid? Movement means that the ancient castle can move in the future. Wait. Fatso said proudly. However, he suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked in surprise, you said that the ancient castle can move? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Fatty was stunned for a moment before he asked, does that mean that you can see what's outside with your X-ray vision? That's right. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. The space in front of him shook and an image quickly appeared. The image showed the peak of the mountain. Everyone looked at each other and their eyes were filled with excitement. This is good. It will be easier to do things in the future. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, now that the ancient castle is exposed, it will not sink on its own. I can control it as I wish. Can you move it for us to see? The fatty said with a curious look on his face. Qin Feiyang moved his mind and the image in the image began to move backward. If there was a deity outside at this moment, he would be able to see a speck of dust moving rapidly in the sky above the mountain range. Fatso murmured, isn't this the same as Lu Xingqian's spatial divine item? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, now, not only can the ancient castle move, X-ray vision, it can also transmit sound transmission. How can it transmit sound transmission? Everyone was confused. Chapter 1225. Really? Everyone was surprised. I can give it a try. Qin Feiyang smiled and disappeared in an instant, appearing in the sky above a desolate forest. The castle was now far away from the short mountain. Boss, can you hear me? Fatso's voice immediately sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Yes. Qin Feiyang thought, and his voice was clearly transmitted to Fatso's mind. Fatso was stunned, looked at Wolf King and the other beasts, and said, "It really works. You guys try it too." Little Qin Zi, Qin Feiyang, Brother Qin, Little Qin, Brother Qin, Wolf King and the other beasts seemed to have found a fun toy, and they kept transmitting messages to Qin Feiyang, having a lot of fun. Qin Feiyang responded to them one by one, and then entered the castle again. He looked at everyone and said with a smile, "It's much more convenient now, right?" "Yes, it's convenient." Everyone nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "However, you can only transmit messages to me." "What do you mean?" Everyone was stunned. Qin Feiyang said, "For example, when Fatso and I are outside, you can only transmit messages to me, but not to Fatso." "Why?" Everyone was puzzled. "Because I'm the owner of the castle." Qin Feiyang smiled proudly. For a moment, everyone was unable to refute, but they all rolled their eyes. Fatso asked, "What's the time formation?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "This is serious. Before I tell you, you should be mentally prepared. I'm afraid you can't take it and go into shock on the spot." "Is it that serious?" Fatso was disdainful. "It's not serious at all," Qin Feiyang said. Seeing that Qin Feiyang didn't seem to be joking, everyone looked at each other, took a deep breath, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said in unison, "Tell us." Qin Feiyang said, "I can't understand the mystery of the time formation now, but it can change the time in the castle." "Change the time?" Everyone was suspicious. "It means that the time in the castle will be different from the time outside. According to the information, after the time formation appears, 10 days in the castle is 1 day outside." Qin Feiyang said. "What? Tell us what it means. What does that mean? Why does it sound so strange?" Everyone looked at him in surprise. "It means that we've spent 10 days in the castle, but only 1 day has passed outside," Qin Feiyang said. Everyone was dumbfounded. 10 days in the castle was equivalent to 1 day outside? This was simply a fantasy story. Changing the rules of time, who can do such a heaven-defying thing? "It's absolutely true," Qin Feiyang said. Fatso's breathing was rapid. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Fat Lord really can't take it anymore. Quickly give Fat Lord a slap to see if we are dreaming." Qin Feiyang didn't make a move, but the white-eyed wolf stood up and directly slapped Fatso's face, and then asked, "Does it hurt?" "Nonsense, you used so much force, how can it not hurt?" Fatso said angrily. "Then it's not a dream," Wolf King said. "Yes, it's not a dream, it's real." Fatso muttered to himself, looked up at Qin Feiyang, and asked again, "Are you sure you're not joking with us? Do you think I'm in the mood now?" Qin Feiyang said helplessly. Fatso was stunned. Wolf King and the other beasts were also stunned. This is too unbelievable. This is the first time they have heard of such a thing in their lives. It's too shocking, too heaven-defying. They can no longer use words to describe their feelings at this moment. Qin Feiyang said, "However, although the information says so, we still have to confirm it." Yes, we must confirm it clearly." Fatso nodded repeatedly. "If it's true, then they will be rich." This was because they were basically cultivating in the castle. 10 days in the castle is 1 day outside. Then if they cultivate in the castle for 100 days, wouldn't only 10 days have passed outside? How much time would they save? Chirp. Suddenly, a high-pitched bird cry sounded. Everyone frowned. The bird's cry was sonorous and powerful. At a glance, one could tell that it was not a simple bird. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the scene in front of him moved. Suddenly, the scene was locked on the sky above a river. Above the river, there was a huge ferocious bird, spreading its wings and flying. The ferocious bird was snow-white, with a long neck and a pair of sharp claws under its feet, emitting a terrifying cold light. On the back of the ferocious bird, there was an old man. The old man was wearing a pure white robe, fluttering in the wind. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand, with a kind face, and exuded an immortal aura. Very strong. Fatso's pupils shrank. Qin Feiyang said, "He is Immortal Crane, a 5-star war emperor." So it's him. Everyone nodded in realization. Fatso suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, "That's not right. Didn't Dan Wangkai say that he usually comes at noon? He should have come early. I have to go to the village immediately. You guys calculate the time carefully. I want to see if the castle is so magical now." Qin Feiyang said. Everyone nodded. Swish! Qin Feiyang flashed and appeared above the barren forest. But as soon as he came out, he couldn't help but be stunned. That's not right. He could have driven the castle to follow him. Why did he have to come out? Immediately. He shook his head with a wry smile. The changes in the castle were too sudden. He still couldn't adapt. But since he had already come out, there was no need to go in again. Swish! He opened a portal and directly arrived at the village chief's house. Dan Wangkai and Viper were both meditating with their eyes closed. When they sensed Qin Feiyang's aura, they immediately opened their eyes and said with a smile, "You're back. What's the fourth divine art? I haven't had time to see it yet." Qin Feiyang said. "What's wrong?" The two of them were suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "Immortal Crane is here. You guys get ready. Don't give yourself away." So early? The two of them raised their eyebrows. "I saw it with my own eyes just now. I'll go out first. When you see him later, don't act rashly," Qin Feiyang warned. Understood. The two of them nodded. Then Qin Feiyang opened the door and walked out. "Little brother, you're finally back. What have you been busy with?" "You've been busy for 4 months. During this time, how have you been? Have you been sick or anything?" When Qin Feiyang appeared in the village, the villagers acted as if they had seen a long-lost relative. They surrounded him and asked about his well-being. "I'm sorry. I didn't say goodbye to everyone before I left," Qin Feiyang said apologetically. For cultivators, 4 months passed in the blink of an eye. But for mortals, 4 months was quite long. Everyone still remembered him. And they cared about him so much. He couldn't help but feel a little guilty. "You're not an outsider. Why are you apologizing? Little brother, it's fate that you came to our village. In the future, you can treat this village as your own home. You don't have to be polite with us. Being polite will make us unfamiliar," someone said with dissatisfaction. "Yes, yes, yes." Qin Feiyang nodded again and again. Except for the village chief and his son, the people here all had simple and kind hearts. It could be said that people like them were almost extinct in the outside world. So, he would never allow Master Shen and the mysterious organization to continue to hurt the people here. Chirp! Suddenly, a loud and clear chirp of a crane sounded outside the village. The chirp of a crane, it's Master Shen. Master Shen is here. Everyone, quickly inform everyone to gather here. The whole village suddenly boiled up. Everyone's face was full of joy and awe. A villager looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Little brother, do you know Master Shen? I've heard about him from Jia." Qin Feiyang said calmly. "Let me tell you, this Master Shen is a real immortal. Yes. Master Shen is omnipotent. When you see him later, you have to be careful with what you say." A few villagers warned him in a low voice. "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. But looking at everyone who was in high spirits, a sadness that could not be dispelled rose in his heart. This was ignorance. Of course. He also knew. These villagers were innocent. They couldn't be blamed. Blame the mysterious organization, Master Shen, and the previous village chiefs. These people were too abominable. In less than 100 breaths, almost all the people in the village rushed over. Old people, children, adults. Everyone was looking at the sky outside the village. Their eyes were full of expectation and respect. Although there were many people, no one spoke. It was very solemn. Dan Wangkai and Viper also came out and stood in the middle of the crowd to welcome Master Shen. Lu Hong and Lu Jing also came. They stood beside Qin Feiyang and looked at the sky outside the village. Their eyes flashed with a trace of cold light. Chirp. Accompanied by the chirp of a white crane flapped its wings and flew into the sky above the village. "Greetings, Master Shen." The villagers all knelt on the ground as if they were on a pilgrimage. Seeing this, Dan Wangkai and Viper raised their eyebrows and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. One should know. They were the Blue Sea's 10 heroes. They didn't respect the heavens and earth. They couldn't kneel down to a mere practitioner. Of course. Qin Feiyang, Lu Jing, and Lu Hong couldn't do it either. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He said to the four of them, "Just pretend." "Okay." The four of them secretly replied. Dan Wangkai and Viper bowed to welcome him. Qin Feiyang and the other two squatted on the ground. Anyway, there were so many people. Master Shen might not see them. The white crane stopped in the sky above the ancestral grave. It flapped its wings like a mythical beast, looking down at the villagers. Its big eyes were full of contempt. Sure enough, jackals of the same tribe. Qin Feiyang sneered. Like master, like mount. He could see through the white crane's cultivation at a glance. It was only a one-star combat emperor. "Get up." A hoarse laughter sounded, passing into everyone's ears. Everyone got up and looked at the back of the white crane. They saw an old man in white slowly stand up. Standing on the back of the white crane, he lowered his head and glanced at everyone. "After 2 years, we meet again. I don't know if anyone missed this immortal during these 2 years." The old man laughed. He looked very kind and benevolent. However, Qin Feiyang and the others could see that there was a trace of contempt in his eyes. This immortal? Damn, you can pretend. Chapter 12:26. Lu Hong and Dan Wangkai were also secretly mocking him. A mere 5-star combat emperor dares to blatantly pretend to be an immortal. They really don't know where this old thing got his courage from. But the villagers were all beaming with joy. Yes. Very much. Everyone hopes that you can stay in the village for a long time. Listening to these words, the smile on Master Shen's face became even more brilliant. He said with a smile, "To tell you the truth, this immortal also wants to spend more time with everyone, but there is no other way. The affairs of the immortal world are busy, this immortal really can't leave." Immortal world? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. He even brought out the immortal world. This old bastard really doesn't feel the slightest bit ashamed. Lu Jing secretly said, "Damn it, I really want to go up and slap him a few times. It's not his fault for swearing, it's Master Shen's fault for being too good at pretending." The key point is that the villagers believed it. They thought that there really is an immortal world in this world, and that there really are immortals. Okay. Let's not talk too much. Old rules, let all the children from 10 to 18 years old stand out. Master Shen said. Dan Wangkai also shouted, this is a good opportunity to become an immortal, everyone, hurry up. Become an immortal. Children, quickly go over. You must do your best. We depend on you to bring glory to our ancestors. Hearing Dan Wangcai's words, the parents immediately urged the children around them. Those children's faces were also full of longing, one by one rushed to Dan Wangkai and Viper's side. Why don't you go? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Wang Xiaojie and Wang Jin and asked suspiciously. Wang Xiaojie rubbed his small head and said with a silly smile, I want to learn cultivation from you. Us? We are not immortals, Master Shen is. Qin Feiyang laughed. TSK. Before I saw you, I still believed that he was an immortal, but now, I understand that there is no immortal in this world. Wang Xiaojie said disdainfully. Ah. Qin Feiyang was surprised. He turned to look at Lu Hong and Lu Zheng and asked, did you tell him? No. The two shook their heads. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at Wang Xiaojie and said with a smile, little guy, you have good awareness. He. Then, big brother immortal, are you willing to accept me as your disciple? Don't worry, I'll work hard in my cultivation and won't drag you down. Wang Xiaojie raised his small hand and vowed solemnly. Of course. He spoke in a very low voice, afraid that the nearby villagers and Master Shen would hear him. Accepting a disciple? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Lu Hong secretly laughed, he asked us to teach him cultivation a long time ago, but we ignored him. And these days, he has been waiting for you at the village entrance. I see. Qin Feiyang was suddenly enlightened. He lowered his head and looked at Wang Xiaojie. He smiled and said, cultivation is very tiring. I'm not afraid. Wang Xiaojie's gaze was firm. Although cultivation was very tiring, he could also protect his family. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, you're not afraid, but I am. Do you know what I'm afraid of? Wang Xiaojie shook his head. Qin Feiyang said, I'm afraid of trouble, especially for a little kid like you. Who said I'm a little kid? I've grown up. I'm an adult. Big brother immortal, can you promise me? I promise, I won't cause you trouble. Wang Xiaojie grabbed Qin Feiyang's hand and looked at him pitifully. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He ignored him and looked up at Master Shen. Wang Xiaojie looked at Lu Hong for help. Lu Hong shrugged helplessly. Wang Xiaojie looked at Lu Zheng again and whispered, Big brother Jiangzheng, you are his cousin. He will certainly listen to you. Can you help me? Good, he is indeed aware. Hearing this, Lu Zheng felt very comfortable. Since he's good, you can take him as your disciple. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Lu Zheng's face stiffened. He couldn't even take care of himself, let alone a little kid. Wasn't this looking for trouble? Lu Zheng coughed, touched Wang Xiaojie's head, and said with a meaningful smile, Child, ordinary is bliss, understand? No. Wang Xiaojie shook his head. Then come to me when you understand. Lu Zheng said. Wang Xiaojie said, you mean, if I can understand the meaning of this sentence, you will take me as your disciple? Kind of. Lu Zheng nodded perfunctorily. But Wang Xiaojie took it seriously. He lowered his little head and pondered alone. Lu Zheng glanced at Wang Xiaojie and couldn't help but frown. Anything else? At this time, Master Shen asked. Dan Wangkai glanced at the crowd around, focused on Wang Xiaojie and Wang Jin, looked up at Master Shen, shook his head and said with a smile, "No." At this time, there were more than 1,000 children gathered around Dan Wangkai and Master Shen. Master Shen said with a smile, "Well, everyone line up." The group of children was immediately divided into 10 teams, with more than 100 people in each team, neatly arranged around the ancestral grave. "Very good." Master Shen nodded with a gratified smile. He waved his old hand, and 10 streamers flew out of his sleeves and suspended in front of the children. These were 10 spirit stones, specially used to test the spiritual power. Master Shen said, "I think everyone knows the rules, now let's start the test. Test one by one, don't worry." Dan Wangkai said with a smile to the children. The 10 children standing at the front immediately went up, put their hands on the spirit stones, and closed their eyes to meditate. Buzz! Soon, 3 of the spirit stones vibrated. In the end, a total of 3 vibrations, which meant that the 3 children all had level 3 spiritual power. Unqualified. Next batch. Dan Wangkai waved his hand. The 10 children suddenly retreated to the side in disappointment, and the second batch of children came up. Among this batch of children, there were 4 who had level 3 spiritual power. Of course, they were also unqualified. And among the third batch of children, there were 2 who had level 4 spiritual power. Amazing! Qin Feiyang secretly muttered. He remembered that the population of Iron Ox Town was not small, but people who reached level 3 spiritual power were very rare. It could even be said that they were 1 in 100. As for level 4 spiritual power, it was not an exaggeration to say that they were 1 in 1,000. And now, only the third batch of children was tested. In other words, a total of 30 people were tested, and there were 7 who had level 3 spiritual power and 2 who had level 4 spiritual power. The people in this village were too incredible. However, to his surprise, Dan Wangkai announced that they were unqualified. "What do you mean? Level 4 spiritual power is not qualified?" Qin Feiyang frowned and said to Dan Wangkai, "What level of spiritual power do you need to be qualified?" "Level 10. Dan Wangkai secretly said. "Level 10? Isn't this higher than the requirements of temple and pill pagoda?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. As an alchemist, he knew too much about spiritual power. Level 10 spiritual power was almost 1 in 10,000. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang seemed to think of something and secretly said, "No, how do you know so clearly? I remember that the village chief and his son didn't seem to say this before they died, right?" Dan Wangkai smiled and said, "I beat around the bush and learned it from the villagers." "They know about spiritual power?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Not to mention spiritual power, they don't even know what this spiritual stone is. Because Master Shen has never explained it. But they can describe it. When I heard them describe the shape and color of the spiritual stone, I knew it was a spiritual stone. And they can observe that every time the spiritual stone trembles 10 times, it will be taken away by Master Shen. So I judged that only level 10 spiritual power is qualified. Dan Wangkai smiled and said. He was also the #1 alchemist in Qinghai. Naturally, he was quite familiar with spiritual stones. Qin Feiyang secretly smiled and said, "It seems that you and Viper haven't been idle in the village in the past 4 months." It could be said that it was both easy and difficult to find out about these things. Why did he say so? Because Dan Wangkai and Viper's current identities were the village chief and his son. And the dead village chief and his son must be quite clear about these rules. So, when the 2 of them inquired about these things, they certainly couldn't ask directly. They had to beat around the bush, otherwise, it would arouse the doubts of the villagers. During the conversation, the 5th batch of children had been tested. In the middle, there were 2 level 5 spiritual power. Level 5 spiritual power, in Kyushu's 18 counties, was considered a good qualification. Time passed by breath. When the 8th batch of children was tested, there were 2 level 8 spiritual power. The people in this village have amazing talent. Qin Feiyang sighed. Level 8 spiritual power, in the whole great Qin Empire, can be regarded as the best. After a while, more than 1,000 children finally finished the test, but no one passed. The highest was a girl, 13 years old, level 9 spiritual power. This time it's not good. The smile on Master Shen's face disappeared. As a 5-star combat emperor, he certainly knew how rare a person with level 10 spiritual power was. But in the past, 1 or 2 could be found every time. But this year, there was none. He looked at the girl with a trace of hesitation in his eyes. Suddenly, he reached out and said, "Come here. Immortal Grandpa." The girl ran over and shouted kindly. "What's your name?" Master Shen asked with a smile. The girl said, "My name is Wang Lin." Master Shen asked, "Do you want to go to the immortal sect?" "Can I?" Wang Lin looked at Master Shen in amazement. "Of course." Master Shen nodded. He had no choice. He came all the way here, he couldn't go back empty-handed, right? So he could only settle for the second best. "I want to go." "Thank you, Immortal Grandpa." Wang Lin jumped up and down happily. Her family and parents were also overjoyed. The other children looked at her enviously, but they didn't give up. There was still fighting spirit in their eyes. Master Shen rubbed Wang Lin's head and said with a smile, "You stand at the back." "Okay." The girl was still young. She was so happy that she forgot about her duties. She bounced and skipped behind Master Shen. Master Shen looked at the children in front of him and said with a smile, "Next, we will conduct the second test." "There is a second test?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "The first test is spiritual power. The second test is potential." Because he not only wants to recruit alchemists, but also martial artists. Dan Wangkai secretly explained. "I see." Chapter 12:27. Dan Wangkai secretly said, "Under Master Shen's pressure, they can hold on for 3 breaths." "What?" Qin Feiyang turned pale with fright. Master Shen is a 5-star combat emperor, how terrifying is his pressure? Let these children, who have no cultivation base, hold on for 3 breaths. What kind of joke is this? Although 3 breaths is very short, for these children, it is simply impossible. Moreover, this is an extremely dangerous thing. Dan Wangkai said, he naturally can't use all of his pressure, just a little bit, but even a little bit, there are very few people who can withstand it. Qin Feiyang nodded. Emperor's pressure is not a joke. If it is not controlled properly, these children will die on the spot. Begin. Master Shen coldly shouted, and a wisp of Emperor's pressure emerged, rushing towards a group of children. As the Emperor's pressure enveloped them, most of the children immediately screamed and lay on the ground. After all, they are just mortals, how can they withstand the Emperor's pressure? The second breath. Almost all of them have fallen, only a dozen children are still tenaciously standing. But without exception, their bodies are trembling, and their pores are spurting blood, like a bloody person. What a powerful potential. Qin Feiyang glanced at the dozen children, his eyes full of shock. To be able to hold on for 2 breaths under the Emperor's pressure, although it is only a wisp of Emperor's pressure, it is enough to show that their talent is extraordinary. Moreover, they are not worse than those so-called geniuses in the imperial capital. This village is not simple. If everyone knows how to cultivate, if there is no mysterious organization control, it is hard to imagine, after thousands of years of development, how strong will this village be? These are all geniuses, and they are wasted like this. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang looked at the children who have fallen, and a trace of surprise crawled up in his eyes. These children had already collapsed, so why did they still look like they were in pain? They screamed endlessly. Suddenly, murderous intent surged in the depths of his eyes. It turns out that Master Shen's Emperor's pressure is still enveloping them. It is reasonable to say that these children who have fallen should not be oppressed anymore. Emperor's pressure can be controlled at will. Just like those children who had fallen down, as long as Master Shen's mind moved, the Emperor's might would no longer oppress them. But Immortal Crane didn't do that. He was treating his life like a game. No. To be exact, Master Shen simply didn't take those children who failed the selection seriously. In his eyes, if he wasn't chosen, then he had no value. It didn't matter if he died. "Mother, father, I'm in so much pain, please help me." Some of the children helplessly reached out to their parents. Their parents were also anxious, but no one said a word, and no one stepped forward to help their children. This was all because of Master Shen. As long as Master Shen did not open his mouth, they would not dare to move. Suddenly, a particularly painful scream entered Qin Feiyang's ears. One of them was a 12-year-old boy who couldn't take it and exploded on the spot. Lu Hong could no longer sit still. Killing intent flashed in her eyes. "Even if you're furious right now, you'd better hold it in." Qin Feiyang grabbed her and transmitted his voice. He was also very angry. But if he made a move now, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to find Master Shen's lair. If he couldn't find Master Shen's lair, then this village would never be able to get rid of the control of that mysterious organization. They also couldn't stay here to protect everyone for a lifetime. Sooner or later, they would leave. Therefore, although he was somewhat aggrieved right now, for the sake of the overall situation, he had to endure. In the blink of an eye, 3 breaths had passed. Master Shen restrained his Emperor's aura. Fortunately, only 1 boy died. And there were only 7 boys left on the field. "Child," a middle-aged couple ran in front of the dead youth and cried bitterly. Master Shen looked up and sighed, regarding his death. "This immortal is also very sad. But this is the test, I hope you can restrain your grief and accept it." "It doesn't matter." The middle-aged couple lowered their heads and said. "It's not that it doesn't matter, but they didn't dare to pursue the matter because the other party was an immortal, and they were just mortals. In front of an immortal, they could only put their sadness in their heart." "Damn it!" Lu Hong gnashed her teeth. It was obviously intentional murder, but he said it was a matter of course. How could there be such scum in the world? He really deserved to die 10,000 times. Master Shen withdrew his gaze, took out a wooden box from his bosom, threw it to Dan Wangkai, and said with a smile, "This is for you." "Thank you, Immortal." Dan Wangkai said gratefully. "That's all right, this Immortal will take these 8 children away." After saying that, Master Shen took the 8 children, soared into the sky, and landed on the back of the white crane. Chirp. The white crane let out a long cry, flapped its wings, and flew away like lightning, respectfully sending off Master Shen. People once again kneeled on the ground to send him off. Lu Hong clenched her hands, and said in a deep voice, "He didn't even give them time to say goodbye." As a parent, which parent didn't love their children? Before taking those children away, shouldn't they also let them say goodbye to their parents? Taking them away like this was too heartless. At the same time, Dan Wangkai opened the wooden box, and there was a Qiankuan bag inside. He took out the Qiankuan bag, and his face immediately became gloomy. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang, and said, "It's all blood evil pills, at least 10,000. "What? 10,000? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. 10,000 blood evil pills, what kind of concept was that? His eyes were full of killing intent. "You wait here." Whoosh. After saying that, he stepped on the ground, soared into the sky, and chased after Master Shen. The villagers stared at Qin Feiyang's back, and their eyes were full of disbelief. What was going on? How could Jiang Fei fly in the sky like Master Shen? Miss Lu, brother Jiang, is little brother Jiang Fei also an immortal? The villagers looked at Lu Hong and Lu Zheng, and their faces were full of disbelief. Lu Hong sighed faintly, and said, "Now that things have come to this, I have to tell you something. There are no immortals in this world, and Master Shen is not an immortal." Master Shen is not an immortal? Miss Lu, don't talk nonsense. If you offend an immortal, you will be punished by heaven. Everyone didn't believe it, and they were somewhat dissatisfied with Lu Hong. Lu Hong frowned. These people had been educated for thousands of years, and the idea of immortals had been deeply ingrained in their minds. It seemed impossible to make them accept this fact in a short time. Back to Qin Feiyang. He used the phantom steps, crossed the void, and soon saw Master Shen. But because he hid his aura, Master Shen and the white crane didn't notice him, and flew straight to the south. When passing over a mountain ridge, Master Shen seemed to feel something, and turned around to look behind. Qin Feiyang immediately went to the castle. Just now, I clearly felt that someone was following me. How could there be no one? Was it an illusion? Glancing at the empty void, Master Shen frowned, but didn't pay too much attention to it, and continued to move forward. Qin Feiyang also didn't appear again, and drove the castle, following behind Master Shen. These people are two bastards. Wait until we find their nest, we will definitely teach them a lesson. Fatso stood beside Qin Feiyang, looking at Master Shen in the picture in front of them, and his eyes were full of killing intent. Qin Feiyang said, "It's not that we want to teach them a lesson, we want to catch all of them in one fell swoop, and leave no one alive." His cold voice was as bone-chilling as ice. On the back of the white crane, Wang Lin and the other 8 children were curiously overlooking the earth below. This was the first time in their lives that they were flying in the sky, and they were not mature mentally, so they felt that everything was very novel. Master Shen looked at them, and the corners of his mouth were pursed into a sneer. Suddenly, Wang Lin retracted her gaze, turned her head, and innocently looked at Master Shen, and asked, "Grandpa Immortal, what are we going to do after we go to the Immortal sect?" Crane Immortal said. Then, he led the 8 people into the portal. The white crane also turned into the size of a palm and flew in. "What should we do?" Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang. "Are you stupid? Don't you know that the castle can be moved now? Not to mention the portal, even if it is a portal, we can follow in secretly." Wolf King gave him a supercilious look. "Yes. The castle changed too suddenly, I haven't adapted to it yet, please excuse me." Fatso rubbed his head and was quite embarrassed. "Can you shut up?" Qin Feiyang's head was about to explode. Along the way, he heard them quarreling here and there. Wasn't it annoying? Seeing that Qin Feiyang was annoyed, everyone finally stopped. Qin Feiyang drove the ancient castle into the teleportation gate. The next moment, an abyss canyon appeared in the picture. The canyon was more than 10 miles wide, and both sides extended to the end of the world. Clouds and mist rose inside, as if they had come to a sea of clouds. Master Shen was standing above the canyon at this moment, pointing to the abyss canyon below, and said to the 8 children with a smile, "Our gate of immortality is below the clouds and mist." Wow! What a big canyon! The 8 children were amazed. Wang Lin said, "Grandpa Immortal, why do I feel that this place is not far from the village?" "That's because there is a portal. We are going to enter the gate of immortality, are you all ready?" Master Shen asked. The 8 children nodded, their eyes full of expectation. "Let's go." Chapter 12:28. Schwa. Right after Master Shen left, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf appeared in the sky above the canyon. Where is this place? The white-eyed wolf glanced around, eyes full of suspicion. On both sides of the canyon were mountain ranges that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were layers upon layers of mountains and ancient trees that towered into the sky. The aura of berserk beasts filled every corner of the mountain range. Moreover, all of them were emperor beasts. I don't know either. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The great Qin Empire was huge, and there were many places he had never heard of. However, this was not important. The important thing was that they had found the headquarters of the mysterious organization. Get ready to go down, Qin Feiyang said. The white-eyed wolf nodded, turned into a palm-sized wolf, and landed on Qin Feiyang's shoulder. Qin Feiyang activated the concealment technique and turned into a stream of light, rushing into the canyon. Clouds and mist lingered in the canyon, comparable to a fairyland. However, the air was filled with a cold current. Moreover, the deeper they went, the more terrifying the cold current was. A layer of frost had already appeared on Qin Feiyang's eyebrows and hair. After a dozen breaths, Qin Feiyang flew out of the clouds and mist, and his eyes lit up. Below him was an ice canyon. The entire canyon was covered with a thick layer of ice and snow. White mist rose, and the cold air was threatening. There they are. The Wolf King pointed at a certain place below. Qin Feiyang looked down and saw an ice mountain towering in the canyon. It was more than 300 meters high. Master Shen and the 8 children were standing on the peak of the ice mountain. The temperature here, for Master Shen, was nothing. However, the 8 children were shivering from the cold, their small faces pale. Opposite Master Shen, there was a black-clothed old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion, full of energy. He glanced at Wang Lin and the others, then looked at Master Shen and asked with a smile, "How many alchemists did you bring back this time?" "Not this time. I only brought back one, and she only has a level 9 mental power. That's her." After Master Shen finished speaking, he pointed to Wang Lin. "Level 9 mental power?" The black-clothed old man frowned. There was a finger-long scar on his forehead. At this moment, he was frowning and looked somewhat sinister, scaring the 8 children. Master Shen said with a smile, "Although it is only 9th rank spiritual power, it is still better than nothing." "That's true." The old man in black nodded and said, "Then bring them to see the Valley Master." "Yes." Master Shen waved his hand, rolled up the 8 people, and soared into the sky. The black-robed elder raised his head and looked at the void above. He then sat cross-legged on the ground and closed his eyes to meditate. Qin Feiyang sized up the black-clothed elder and transmitted a message, "This person's cultivation is also very strong. According to my judgment, he should be an 8-star combat emperor." TSK TSK TSK. I bumped into an 8-star combat emperor the moment I arrived. How terrifying is this place? White-eyed Wolf was speechless. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze, and looked at Master Shen. A cold light flashed in the bottom of his eyes. He took a step forward, and silently followed Master Shen. On the way, he encountered another 5 ice peaks. On top of the 5 ice peaks, there was also an old man in black sitting cross-legged. His cultivation was also an 8-star combat emperor. In other words, at present, they had already encountered 6 8-star combat emperors. It was really hard to believe. How many experts were hidden in this ice valley? And the existence of these people must be because they were worried that someone would sneak into the ice valley and stand guard. About 500 breaths passed. An ancient square entered Qin Feiyang's line of sight. The square was a few hundred feet wide, covered with ice and snow. In front of the entrance of the square, there was an old man in black sitting cross-legged. Master Shen brought the 8 children and landed on the square. The old man in black opened his eyes, looked at Master Shen, and said expressionlessly, "You're back." He looked a little cold. Master Shen nodded. The old man in black looked at Wang Lin and the others. He raised his hand and pressed the ground beside him. Gotcha! The ice broke, and a stone brick caved in. Immediately after, the ground in the center of the square cracked, and then slowly moved to both sides. Soon after, a stone staircase appeared. The stone staircase was more than 4 meters wide, emitting an ancient aura, leading to the underground. "Go in," the old man in black said. "Thank you for your trouble." Master Shen cupped his hands and led Wang Lin and the others down the stone staircase. Qin Feiyang also hurriedly followed in. The stone staircase was very long. After walking for dozens of breaths, they still couldn't see the end. There was no one standing guard here. Except for the footsteps of Master Shen, Wang Lin and the others, it was dead silent. Another 100 breaths passed. Qin Feiyang finally saw the end. However, through the exit at the end of the tunnel, he saw a magnificent mountain range. "Are my eyes playing tricks on me?" There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. One must know. Now that they were deep underground, how could there be mountains and rivers under the ground? The exit was getting closer and closer. But the scenery outside didn't change at all. And as the distance got closer, the field of vision gradually widened, and they could see more and more things. There was earth, mountains, rivers, birds and beasts, and even the sun. What exactly is this place? A moment later, Qin Feiyang came to the exit and looked at the scene in front of him. His eyes were full of disbelief. This was spectacular. The mountains and rivers were boundless. The grass and trees were lush and green. The rivers were surging, and the beasts were roaring. This was simply a real world. Wolf King was also shocked by the scene in front of him. He never expected that there was such a mysterious underground world under the ice valley. "Grandpa Immortal, is this the Immortal Gate?" Master Shen and Wang Lin were standing next to Qin Feiyang at this moment, but they didn't notice it at all. Glancing at the vast mountain in front of them, Wang Lin and the others were full of surprise. "Yes. This is our Immortal Gate." Master Shen nodded. "Amazing. It was freezing outside just now, but there is no ice and snow here." A teenager was amazed. Master Shen smiled and took the 8 people to the sky and flew toward the depths of the mountain. Qin Feiyang quickly followed. Along the way, they encountered a lot of beasts, and the lowest was a holy beast. Emperor beasts could be seen everywhere. This place is even more terrible than the inland sea of Qinghai. Wolf King transmitted his voice, and his eyes were extremely solemn. It seemed that it would not be easy to get rid of this mysterious organization. Qin Feiyang didn't care. As long as there were no fake gods, no matter how many war emperors and beasts there were, it was nothing to worry about. As for the fake gods, they were the peak existences of this world. Looking at the entire Great Qin Empire, there were only a few of them. Although this place was quite mysterious, at present, he didn't sense the aura of the fake gods. Soon, they went hundreds of miles deep into the mountain. A strange mountain range gradually came into sight. Those giant peaks were like swords, towering into the sky, exuding a majestic aura. The mountain ridges were like giant dragons, with a majestic aura that stretched for millions of miles. As soon as they arrived here, Qin Feiyang immediately sensed a powerful emperor aura. He looked at them one by one and saw that those giant peaks and mountain ranges had countless large and small cave residences. But the difference was, the aura emitted from the cave residences of the giant peaks were all war emperors. And in those mountain residences, there were strong and weak auras. War king, war emperor, war master, war saint, etc. In other words, the lowest cultivation level of the people here was the War King. Warriors, martial masters, they couldn't be found at all. However, among these auras, he could sense a bloody aura that he hated. This bloody aura came from the blood demon pill. There was no suspense. These people were all taking the blood demon pill. How many people here are from Wang Xiaojia's village? Wolf King muttered. The village has existed for thousands of years. I estimate that more than half of the people here are from that village. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Wolf King suddenly frowned and said to himself, "Have you noticed that there's something unusual about that village?" "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Wolf King said, "Don't you think so? Almost all the children in that village are cultivation geniuses." "So that's what you're talking about." Qin Feiyang smiled and transmitted his voice, "Actually, I also noticed it. I think there must be some reason behind it. Could it be related to the ancestral tomb?" Wolf King thought for a moment and said in surprise. "Ancestral tomb?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Don't say, it's really possible. We're almost there." At this time, Master Shen's voice sounded. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at Master Shen. He saw Master Shen leading Wang Lin and the other 8 people toward a particularly majestic giant peak. That giant peak was more than 10,000 feet high, towering into the sky. On the top of that mountain, clouds and mist were lingering and white cranes were flying. At first glance, it really looked like a fairyland. Qin Feiyang followed Master Shen and flew to the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain was flat as if it was cut by a giant axe. In the center of the mountain, there was a huge palace. The palace covered an area of more than 10,000 feet. It was dark all over, and every brick and tile exuded an ancient aura. Swish! Master Shen led Wang Lin and the other 8 people and landed on the square in front of the palace. There was no one in the square. The sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The ground was covered with black stone bricks, and there were traces of time everywhere. "Greetings, Valley Master." Master Shen knelt on one knee, looking at the closed palace door with a respectful look. Seeing Wang Lin and the other 8 people curiously looking at the palace, Master Shen raised his eyebrows and whispered, "You guys also kneel down." "Yes." The 8 people responded and also knelt on the ground to kowtow. Boom! The door slowly opened. A powerful aura gushed out from the door and oppressed Master Shen and the other 8 people. Master Shen's eyes trembled and his expression became more respectful. This aura was actually not deliberately released for the sake of intimidating Master Shen and Wang Lin's group of 8. It was naturally released. It was precisely because of this that Qin Feiyang was able to sense a bloody aura of hatred within this aura. Obviously, the owner of this aura was also taking the blood evil pill. 9-star combat emperor, Qin Feiyang muttered to himself, crossed his arms in front of his chest, and coldly looked at the palace door. The Valley Master should be the owner of this place. He was looking forward to finding out who this so-called Valley Master was. "Bring them in." Suddenly, a loud voice came out from the palace, somewhat deafening. "Yes." Master Shen respectfully responded, got up, and led Wang Lin and the other 8 people toward the palace door. Chapter 1229. The inside of the palace was very big, but there were no tables or chairs, and no decorations. There was only a wide chair placed in the center, which looked very empty. The chair was dark and made of a kind of jade. On the back of the chair, there was a black dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, lifelike. The armrests on both sides were also inlaid with 2 dragon heads. At this moment, a middle-aged man was sitting on the chair. His black hair was draped over his shoulders, and he was wearing a black robe, which wrapped his whole body, and a silver-white mask on his face, covering half of his face. Although his appearance and expression could not be seen, his eyes were extremely cold and fierce. Obviously, he was not a good person. Lord Valley Master, the people have been brought back. An alchemist, 9th level spiritual power, and 7 martial arts geniuses. Master Shen walked into the main hall, stood more than 10 meters away from the Valley Master, and bowed. The Valley Master looked at Wang Lin and the others. That cold gaze was like the edge of a blade, pressing down on the 8 people until they couldn't breathe. A moment later, the Valley Master withdrew his gaze and looked at Master Shen, 9th level spiritual power, although it is rare, but in the future, her achievements in alchemy will not be too high, so there is no need to waste resources. Master Shen asked, "Lord, what do you mean?" A murderous look flashed in his old eyes. The Valley Master shook his head and said, "Since she has 9th level spiritual power, her cultivation talent must be extraordinary. It's a pity to kill her. Let her concentrate on martial arts like the others." Understood. Master Shen nodded. Even a level 9 mind power is nothing in his eyes. He's too arrogant. White-eyed Wolf muttered, his fierce eyes flashing with cold light. At the same time, the Valley Master waved his hand, and a terrible force rushed to Wang Lin and the others. The small faces of the 8 people suddenly showed a painful look. No matter how painful it is, you have to endure it, don't cry out. Master Shen said. The 8 people gritted their teeth, and their faces were pale. What is he going to do? Wolf King was surprised. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head, took out the image crystal, and recorded this scene. He didn't know, but it didn't mean that others didn't know. For example, Lu Zheng. Born in an ancient family, he must know more than them. Ah, one of the youths couldn't help but scream. At the same time, a drop of blood floated out from their bodies. Seeing the 8 drops of blood, the Valley Master's eyes narrowed and he placed his hands in front of his chest to form a seal. The next moment, the 8 drops of blood turned into 8 blood-red marks. Then, they turned into streams of light and entered the Valley Master's head. Who? The Valley Master exhaled deeply. With a wave of his hand, the magnificent force surrounding Wang Lin and the others disappeared. The 8 of them immediately collapsed to the ground, their faces pale. Bring them there. If they can't break through to the Battle Emperor realm within 2 years, just kill them like before. Valley Master said indifferently. Get rid of it. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. Dealing with him was tantamount to executing him. How could he say such cruel words so easily? He was too heartless. He viewed human lives as worthless. Wasn't he a human? Yes. However, Master Shen was used to it. He turned around and rolled up Wang Lin and the other 8 people. Then, he rushed out of the palace and continued to fly towards the depths of the mountain range. What should we do? The white-eyed wolf transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang looked deeply at the Valley Master, put away the image crystal, and secretly said, let's follow them and see where Master Shen will send them. After that, he turned around and rushed out of the palace. The palace gate slowly closed. A moment later, Qin Feiyang followed Master Shen and came to the sky above a jungle. The jungle was more than 10 miles in diameter, and there were ferocious beasts everywhere. However, the ferocious beasts here were not strong. They were generally martial artists, martial masters, and martial grandmasters. Whoosh! Master Shen took Wang Lin and the other 8 people and landed in the center of the jungle. Grandpa Immortal, where is this? The group of children glanced around, their faces full of panic. Now that you have entered the immortal sect, you naturally have to start cultivating. And this forest will be the first stop on your path of cultivation. You have to come out of this jungle within 2 months. During this period, no matter if you encounter ferocious beasts or danger, I will not save you. Simply speaking, from this moment on, you have to experience fighting, despair, and pain that you have never experienced before. If you want to live, you have to work hard. After Master Shen finished speaking, he took out hundreds of elixirs from his Qianquan bag and threw them on the ground in front of the 8 people, saying, "This is for you." It is called Gathering Qi Pill. It can help you gather qi and step into the path of cultivation. After that, Master Shen turned around and left without looking back, leaving Wang Lin and the other 8 people in a daze. They were completely confused. Ferocious beasts, cultivation, fighting, in the past, they had never experienced these things and had no experience at all. Now all of this suddenly happened, they simply could not adapt to it and could not understand it. Wasn't this the immortal sect? Shouldn't the immortal sect be peaceful and peaceful? But why did they have to fight? Because they were still young and innocent children, and knew nothing about the path of cultivation, so they did not understand. Looking at all this, Wolf King clenched his claws and said in a deep voice, "This is letting them fend for themselves." In their minds, the immortal sect is carefree, without desires or demands, but now, hearing this cruel reality, they don't know how helpless they are in their hearts. Qin Feiyang sighed. Help them. With their current psychological quality and combat experience, the hope of walking out alive is too slim. Wolf King said. One must know. The diameter of this jungle was more than 10 miles, and the radius was about 7 or 8 miles. Such a long journey, even if there was no burden, it would take a long time to walk, not to mention that the jungle was full of ferocious beasts. For these children, this was a grave of death. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a thought, he appeared in front of the group of children. Well? Brother Jiang Fei. Why are you here? Brother Jiang Fei, can you help us? This place is so strange. It's said to be an immortal sect, but it's so different from what we imagined. We want to go home. Brother Jiang Fei, can you take us home? These children were helpless, so when they saw Qin Feiyang appear, they immediately surrounded Qin Feiyang as if they had grabbed a life-saving straw, and kept chattering. Okay, brother will take you home. Qin Feiyang squatted on the ground, rubbed their little heads, and nodded with a smile. Thank you, brother Jiang Fei. Everyone was immediately overjoyed. Qin Feiyang sighed secretly. If he didn't come this time, he didn't know what these children would have experienced. I still have something to do now, so I'll take you to a place first. Remember, don't make trouble there. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Brother, don't worry, we will be honest. A youth grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth, looking innocent and lively. Qin Feiyang rubbed the youth's head, scratched his head and looked at Wolf King, and said, we might fight with them later. For your safety, you'd better go to the castle as well. Don't you despise me for being a burden now? Wolf King snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. With a wave of his hand, he sent Wolf King and the 8 children to the castle. Just as Qin Feiyang sent Wang Lin and the others to the castle, in the palace hundreds of miles away, the Valley Master was resting with his eyes closed. But suddenly, he opened his eyes, and his eyes were filled with surprise. Following that, he suddenly stood up, opened a teleportation door, and walked in. The next moment, he appeared in the sky above the forest. He lowered his head and scanned the area below. He immediately saw Qin Feiyang. Who are you? The Valley Master roared, and the pressure of the 9-star War Emperor rushed towards Qin Feiyang. How could I be discovered? Qin Feiyang was surprised, and did not dare to hesitate. Without looking back, he drilled into a patch of grass. The grass was as deep as a person and could cover his tracks. Still want to run? The Valley Master was furious and chased down like lightning. However, when he landed on top of that patch of grass, Qin Feiyang was already nowhere to be seen. Bastard! The Valley Master was furious. With a wave of his hand, the terrifying battle chi rushed out in all directions. The flowers, trees, and fierce beasts in the entire forest were instantly turned into ashes, leaving only a bare land. But looking around, he still couldn't find Qin Feiyang. Swish! At this time, Master Shen heard the news and rushed over. Looking at the scene below, his old face was full of surprise. Then he fell behind the Valley Master and asked, "My lord, what's going on? I should be the one asking you this question." The Valley Master turned around and stared at Master Shen with cold eyes. "Ask me?" Master Shen's face was full of astonishment. The Valley Master said, "Just now, those teenagers suddenly disappeared." "Impossible. They are just mortals, how could they suddenly disappear?" Master Shen shook his head. "Would I lie to you? Just now, when I rushed over, I saw a man standing here. Tell me, why would someone sneak in here?" The Valley Master said in a deep voice. "A man?" Master Shen was surprised and asked, "What does he look like?" The Valley Master said, "At that time, he lowered his head and turned his back to me, so I didn't see his face, but his back was very strange, I have never seen him before." This, Master Shen was stunned. "Someone actually sneaked in? As soon as you left, this person saved those children, he must have sneaked in today. And today, only you left. Tell me, did you bring this person in?" The Valley Master said gloomily, his eyes flashing with killing intent. "My lord, I didn't." Master Shen quickly knelt on the ground and cried anxiously. "You didn't? There is only one entrance here, not only is it guarded, but there are also traps. If no one helped him, how could he sneak in?" The Valley Master shouted. "I am innocent. My life is in the hands of my lord, how could I dare to betray my lord? My lord, please investigate." Master Shen kowtowed again and again. The Valley Master stared at Master Shen and didn't say anything. But if you take off the mask, you will find that at the moment, his face is uncertain. "I don't think you have the guts." After a while, the Valley Master said coldly and asked, "When you went to the village, did you find anything suspicious? Or when you came back, did anyone follow you?" Master Shen breathed a sigh of relief, thought for a moment and said, "Everything in the village is normal, I didn't find anything suspicious. As for following me, it is even more impossible. Because I came back through the portal, even if someone followed me, it is impossible to follow me here." After saying that, Master Shen added, "Moreover, there are elders guarding the ice valley outside, unless this person knows invisibility, it is impossible to sneak in without anyone knowing." Then how did he get in? Chapter 1230. Lord, is there such a possibility? In fact, no one sneaked in. It's our own people who secretly played tricks? Master Crane said. Who has the guts? The Valley Master shouted. Yes, yes, yes. Master Crane nodded repeatedly, cold sweat flowing down. The Valley Master said in a deep voice, "Go and block the entrance immediately, and then take people to find him. You must find him for me." Yes. Master Shen replied respectfully. Then, he turned around and left. At the same time, inside the castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the Valley Master on the screen, his brows tightly knitted together. He really couldn't figure out how this person found him. At that time, he didn't release any aura and just saved Wang Lin and the others. Saved Wang Lin and the others? Qin Feiyang suddenly thought of something and turned to look at Wang Lin and the others. The 8 of them were looking at the castle and Wolf King and the other beasts curiously. It seems that it's because of them. Qin Feiyang muttered and took out the image crystal. After a while, Lu Zheng's shadow appeared. He stood alone in a simple room, looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "What are you doing? Help me see what this is." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the previously recorded image swept out from the image crystal and slowly unfolded in the void. Seeing the Valley Master extracting the blood of Wang Lin and the others and turning them into 8 marks, Lu Zheng raised his eyebrows. "Do you know what he is doing?" Qin Feiyang asked. Lu Zheng nodded. "Tell me quickly." Qin Feiyang was refreshed. Lu Zheng said, "As far as I know, this is a secret technique." "Secret technique?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes. This secret technique is similar to your enslavement seal. It can control others. But the difference is that your enslavement seal controls the souls of others, while this secret technique controls the power of others' bloodline." Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He didn't expect that the Valley Master had mastered such a terrible secret technique. No wonder Master Shen said before that he didn't dare to betray the Valley Master. Presumably, Master Shen was also controlled by the Valley Master. Qin Feiyang asked, "Then what is this secret technique called?" "Blood Soul Technique." Lu Zheng paused between each word, then continued, "To be honest, my Lu family also possesses this kind of secret technique." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Don't misunderstand. Although I can't see the true appearance of that Valley Master, I can be certain that he is not a member of my Lu family. Because my Lu clan would never do such a thing." Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Hearing that the Lu family also had this kind of secret technique, he was really worried that this Valley Master was from the Lu family. According to legend, the Blood Soul Technique was created by a demon ancestor many years ago. At that time, it must be the Valley Master who sensed the disappearance of Wang Lin and the others and rushed to the jungle. Qin Feiyang asked, "Then what should we do to get rid of the Blood Soul Technique?" "There are 2 ways. First, destroy the bloodline power yourself. Second, kill the Valley Master, and the Blood Soul Technique will naturally be removed." Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang said, "You mean, as long as the Valley Master is killed, all the people under control will be freed?" "Yes." Lu Zheng nodded. "I see." Qin Feiyang said. Lu Zheng asked curiously, "What did you find over there?" "It's a very interesting place." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he did not explain and turned off the image crystal. Fatso glanced at Wang Lin and the others and whispered, "Although the Blood Soul Technique can destroy their bloodline power, it seems that the castle can block the control of the Blood Soul Technique." Qin Feiyang nodded. If the castle couldn't block the control of the Blood Soul Technique, then the Valley Master should have sensed the location of Wang Lin and the others. Furthermore, he must have crippled the bloodline power of the 8 of them. "Then what should we do next?" Fatso asked. Qin Feiyang said, "I don't take the Valley Master seriously. The only thing that worries me is whether there are any false gods here. So what we need to do now is to find out the background of this mysterious organization. How can there be so many false gods in the world?" "You think too much," Fatso said. "What if there is? So, it's better to be careful." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he left the castle alone. The jungle had disappeared, and it was bare. Qin Feiyang glanced around, hid his aura, and rushed deeper into the mountain range. For the next day, he wandered in the mountain range. Except for the powerful beasts, he didn't find any false god aura. As for Master Shen, he met him several times, and he led people to look for him everywhere. But every time, he easily avoided him. The next morning, Qin Feiyang entered the castle, looked at Fatso, and said, "How is it? Is it 10 days?" Fatso took out a book, looked down, and said, "No more, no less, exactly 10 days." That's right, only 1 day has passed outside. Qin Feiyang laughed. Everyone looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh happily. I'm going to start my closed-door training, even if the sky falls, don't call me brother. Wolf King immediately lay down in a corner, took out a lot of battle chi pills, and began to cultivate. 1 day outside is 10 days inside. In other words, 1 day outside Qin Feiyang is equivalent to 10 days of cultivation. What a good opportunity this is. I must take this opportunity to catch up with this guy. No. It's surpassing. It secretly swore in its heart. Black Dragon Snake, Mountain Pangolin, Winged Snow Eagle, Ghost Snake Emperor, and Flood Dragon all immediately started their closed-door training. They had the same idea. Boss, should I go into closed-door training too? Looking at Wolf King and the other beasts, Fatso's heart was also restless. Don't even think about it. Qin Feiyang pointed to Wang Lin and the others, and said, help them gather qi first and teach them how to cultivate. Wang Lin and the others were still mortals, so now, they were all lying on the ground and sleeping. Why should I? Fatso was dissatisfied. In terms of cultivation, Wolf King and Winged Snow Eagle were stronger than him, they should be the ones to teach. Unfair. Biased. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him, left the castle alone, and continued to rush deeper. But this underground world was too big, he walked for a day and a night, but he still couldn't see the end. So he gave up. Opening the teleportation door and concealment technique, he returned to the square outside the palace, looking at the closed palace door, his eyes flashed with killing intent. Instead of wandering around aimlessly, it would be better to wait for the exhausted Valley Master to finish him off. As long as the Valley Master died, the Blood Soul technique would be broken, and the others would no longer be a threat. Because no matter who it was, they all yearned for freedom. As long as the Valley Master died, without the restriction of the Blood Soul technique, the people here would definitely not continue to be loyal to this mysterious organization. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and walked toward the palace step by step. 10 breaths later. He came to the front of the palace door, and through the window, he could vaguely see that the Valley Master was sitting alone on the dragon head throne with his head lowered, thinking about something. Whoosh! He entered the castle, then steered the castle and sneaked in through the gap of the door. It could be said that there was basically no place in the castle that he couldn't enter, unless it was a completely sealed secret room. Success or failure depends on this. Qin Feiyang looked at the Valley Master in the image, and his eyes flashed slightly. He took out the Chang Shui, restrained his aura to the extreme, and left the castle, appearing beside the Valley Master. The Valley Master still had his head lowered, and didn't notice at all. Qin Feiyang didn't dare to let his guard down, after all, the other party was a 9-star combat emperor. He stared at the Valley Master and slowly raised the Chang Shui. Suddenly. Chapter 1231. This blade accurately pierced into the Valley Master's sea of consciousness. Blood spurted out like a fountain. Damn it, who is it? The Valley Master roared and suddenly stood up. A terrifying emperor's aura roared out. Boom! Kacha! Accompanied by a deafening loud noise, the entire palace instantly collapsed and turned into ashes. When the Valley Master roared, Qin Feiyang did not hesitate to pull out the Chang Shui and entered the castle. Then he stared at the Valley Master in the image. The Valley Master was furious, blood spurting out from his head. He glanced around the void, and his whole body was filled with hostility. But suddenly, his body went soft and fell to the ground. His aura and life fluctuations quickly dissipated. He's finally dead. Fatso next to him smiled and breathed a sigh of relief. But Qin Feiyang frowned and murmured, it seems to be too smooth. Castle, Chang Shui, concealment art, we used all of them. If it's still not smooth, then it's really not right. Fatso said indifferently. Is that so? Qin Feiyang murmured. But why did he feel uneasy looking at the Valley Master's body? This was a premonition of crisis. And in the past, his premonition had never been wrong. Whoosh! Soon. Figures broke through the air and landed on the top of the mountain. These people were men and women, old and young, but without exception, they were all war emperors. Among them was Master Shen. What's going on? Looking at the destroyed palace, the group of people's faces were full of surprise. Look, the Valley Master is there. Suddenly, someone shouted. Master seems to be injured. Let's go and take a look. The crowd rushed forward, and when they saw the fatal wound on the Valley Master's head, their hair stood on end. Master Shen squatted on the ground and shook the Valley Master's body hard, but there was no response for a long time. Master Shen looked at the Valley Master in shock, then slowly turned his head and looked at the crowd behind him. He said in disbelief, the Valley Master seems to be dead. What? Is he dead? Everyone's eyes were trembling. They didn't know if it was because they were frightened or happy. A black-robed old woman said, confirm it again. Master Shen nodded and extended his finger towards the Valley Master's nostrils. He was not breathing. Immediately after, he grabbed the Valley Master's wrist again, but there was no pulse. In the end, he then placed his hand on the Valley Master's chest, but there was no heartbeat. There was no breathing, no pulse, and no heartbeat. Didn't that mean that he was dead? Master Shen turned his head to look at the crowd, nodded and said, he is really dead. Dead, everyone fell silent, and the place fell into a deathly silence. He's finally dead. We are free. We are free. All these years of suffering are finally over. Not long after, everyone present raised their heads to the sky and laughed loudly, crying tears of joy. What? Valley Master is dead? It's good that she died. Good and evil will be rewarded. The heavens have finally opened their eyes. This damn devil should go to the 18th level of hell and never be reincarnated. As soon as the news spread, the entire underground world was boiling. Some people looked up to the sky and laughed. Some people cried silently. Some people fell to the ground and cried bitterly. But without exception, there was a trace of relief on their faces. After suffering, they could see the light of day again. It was not an exaggeration to use this sentence to describe their mood at the moment. Inside the castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the crowd on the screen and murmured, he is really dead. It seems that I worried too much. The Valley Master was indeed dead. What about these people? After all, they are all taking the blood evil pill. Fatso said. Master Shen must be eliminated. As for the others, Qin Feiyang pondered and said, let's see the situation first. After saying that, he flashed and appeared beside the Valley Master. Who is it? The people on the top of the mountain were shocked and immediately looked at Qin Feiyang. Master Shen's face was also full of surprise. At that time in the village, because there were too many people and Qin Feiyang was silent in the crowd, he did not notice Qin Feiyang. Don't you know me? Qin Feiyang glanced at the crowd and said indifferently. Should we know you? The black-robed old woman asked. The others were also puzzled. Strange. You are all war emperors, but you don't know me? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Could it be that the people here, like the people in the village, had never left here? Who are you? Is there something wrong with you? You ask us if we know you. Are you famous? A few old men shouted impatiently. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. It seemed that these people really did not know him at all. Suddenly, Master Shen stared at Qin Feiyang and said in bewilderment, "Valley Master couldn't have been killed by you, right?" "Him?" Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "Yes. I killed him," Qin Feiyang said. "How is that possible? What is your cultivation? How could you kill the Valley Master?" Everyone looked extremely surprised. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "My cultivation is not important. What is important is that now you have regained your freedom. Is that so?" However, as soon as he said that, a sneer sounded. Whoosh! Following that, a man in white came from afar and landed on the top of the mountain. Second Valley Master. Master Shen and the others' pupils shrank and they seemed to be quite afraid. Qin Feiyang also looked up at the man in white and his face suddenly sank. This Second Valley Master was about 1.8 meters tall and looked middle-aged. His tall and straight body was like a sword, sharp and threatening. And his aura was even more unfathomable. The Second Valley Master glanced at Master Shen and the others and said indifferently, "Do you really think you have regained your freedom?" However, there were so many people, but no one dared to speak. They didn't even have the courage to look up at the man in white. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. The Valley Master was already dead. What were these people afraid of? Could it be that they were not only controlled by the Valley Master, but also by this person? The Second Valley Master smiled contemptuously and turned to Qin Feiyang. He said with a smile, "You can actually sneak here. You are really powerful, Qin Feiyang." "You know me?" Qin Feiyang frowned. The Second Valley Master said with a smile, "The son of the current emperor." His prestige shook the great Qin Empire and the Forgotten Continent. He has several divine arts and is known as a peerless monster that only appears once in 10,000 years. It is hard for me not to know you. Divine arts. Master Shen and the others looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. They didn't know Qin Feiyang, but they knew about the divine arts. The divine arts had the power to destroy heaven and earth. It was the most powerful means of the gods. After living for so many years, they had never seen a divine art. But they didn't expect that this guy not only had it, but also several divine arts. Qin Feiyang glanced at the crowd and looked at the Second Valley Master. He said in a deep voice, "You even know about the Forgotten Continent. Who are you? Who is the person behind you?" The Second Valley Master laughed and said, "These are not important. What is important is that you will die here today." "Really?" Qin Feiyang slightly narrowed his eyes. "Yes." The Second Valley Master nodded and looked at Master Shen and the others. "Whoever takes his head will be rewarded with 100,000 blood demon pills, 100,000. Everyone present was trembling in body and mind. Their eyes were full of greed. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's body was also trembling. But different from Master Shen and the others, he was trembling because of anger. 100,000 blood demon pills. It was hard to imagine how many blood demon pills there were in this underground world. Millions? Tens of millions? How many people did he have to kill to get so many blood demon pills? The Second Valley Master laughed, "You still don't know. Everyone here is taking blood demon pills. And these blood demon pills were all refined by me. They're all made by you." Qin Feiyang clenched his hands tightly. "Yes." The Second Valley Master nodded. "Disregarding human life and bringing disaster to the country. Are you not afraid of being known by the current emperor?" Qin Feiyang shouted. He asked this question on purpose.